10, 9, 8. We have a go for main engine start. We have main engine start. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the SSL Gold Cup qualifying series. It is the last day of the qualifiers. It is the golden day here in the last two groups. It is the African Asian groups, and today we're going to find 4 teams that's going to qualify. My name is Thomas Bjørnlykke, and I'm going to be your host, but I'm not going to be here all alone. Of course, I have one of the sailing experts with me. Please welcome Jan Dorset.
Hello, everybody. Hello, Thomas. Wherever you are in the world, whether it be morning, afternoon, or evening, welcome to this last day of the qualifying session, number 5. Today is the golden day, and we'll be seeing double points for this last race of the day.
Yeah, and we have quite some matches out there, but before talking about that, let's watch in the whole qualifying series, what's all about. SSL Gold Cup is the football World Cup, but just in sailing. Here we have all the rounds, we have all the groups that's been fighting for the qualifying to go all the way into the finals. Today we have ending of Group 7 and Group 8, and we can always see there are some teams that's already qualified, but Jan, they're going into the finals in Bahrain, and that's where they're fighting for going to, and there the final starts and some teams are joining in there, so let's see how Bahrain is looking like.
Yeah, that's right, Thomas. Each one of the top 2 teams in each group will be going and getting themselves qualified for the finals in Bahrain. And you see here that the teams that are in yellow in Group 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 are already qualified for the finals in Bahrain. Today being the last day, we will find out who will go to Bahrain in Group 7 and in Group 8.
Yeah, and there, we really have some interesting battles all the other weeks. And today we also have some new battles coming up. We are going to start with Group 8 today when we're coming in there. And there we're going to have a battle called Singapore, Thailand, Ukraine. They need to finish the race, then they are in Bahrain like a fairy tale. But I have to say, Singapore, Thailand, keep an eye on that. And then, of course, South Korea, they want to fight to show the honor of winning one of the races here. So a battle coming up there. In Group 7, Jan, it's the same story. China is not here of some reasons, but South Africa, they qualified. So we're going to see a battle between Malaysia and India. And I know India is ready for that battle.
Yeah, really interesting between these two nations right here, India and Malaysia, because really, depending on what the result is, it's either one or the other. And like you said, South Africa is already in it, and China, for COVID reasons, was not able to be here. In Group 8, it's the same thing. However, Ukraine really wants to win as well. They want to win the last day. They want to stand on top of the podium, and they want to hear their national anthem at the prize giving ceremony.
Yeah, and all about where we're coming here. The finals are coming in of Bahrain. You can see here the top 2 teams of each group is going to qualify, and there will be a draw about which group they're going to fight in, and they're going to fight to go into the next round, the 1/16 rounds in November. And there we already have some pre-qualified teams, all about because of the SSL team ranking. And then they will continue on racing every day in November, all the way to the 20th of November, where we'll find a World Cup winner, the SSL Gold Cup winner, here in Bahrain. But with that said, let's see some highlights from day number 3, how everything went there.
Minus 10, 9, 8. We have a go for main engine start. We have main engine start. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Today's the 3rd day of the qualifying round, number 5, with 2 races for both groups. All teams had a clear start on race 4. India arrived first at the weather mark, followed by South Africa and Malaysia. The downwind leg was in the favor of South Africa, who caught up to India, arriving at the gate at the same time. After an upwind battle, South Africa managed to arrive first at the last weather mark, followed by India and Malaysia. Increasing their lead on the last leg, South Africa won race 4. India accomplished to stay ahead of Malaysia and added 2 points to their tally. At the start of race 5, a dramatic situation took place. India collided with Malaysia. India got a penalty and had to do a 360, but the results for Malaysia were far more serious. South Africa kept clean and led at the first mark rounding, followed by India and Malaysia. Positions didn't change during the downwind. South Africa had a nice mark rounding. Unfortunately, India had the spinnaker in the water, and that definitely helped Malaysia to catch up. South Africa increased their lead and rounded the weather mark first, still followed by India. Malaysia, less than 100 meters behind them, rounded third. Anything could happen on the last downwind between India and Malaysia. South Africa won, and India kept their second place ahead of Malaysia. The provisional overall after 5 races sees South Africa in the lead with 13 points, Malaysia in second with 10 points, and India bringing up the rear with 7 points, following the decision from the jury to give them a penalty point for crashing into Malaysia just before the start. In the current point standing, South Africa is already qualified for the finals in Bahrain. The second group, with Singapore, South Korea, Thailand, and Ukraine, started their 4th race right after the first group. Korea got stuck at the committee boat and was forced to go right. Ukraine arrived in first position at the top mark, Thailand second, Singapore third, and South Korea was last around the mark. During the downwind, Ukraine and Thailand battled for the leading position, and Ukraine was able to keep the lead, rounding the gate first. During the upwind, the positions didn't change. Ukraine arrived first, still ahead of the rest of the fleet, keeping their place, winning the race ahead of Thailand, South Korea, and Singapore. Race 5 had a clear start for the Group 8. Ukraine took the lead and rounded first the windward mark. Thailand arrived second ahead of South Korea and Singapore. South Korea had troubles to establish their spinnaker as well as Singapore. Unfortunately, the result was a hole in the spinnaker of South Korea. Ukraine still leading, Thailand second, and tight battle for third place, but Korea managed to stay ahead of Singapore. Small changes occurred during the upwind leg, but Ukraine was still first at the weather mark ahead of Thailand. Singapore took third place and South Korea in fourth. Ukraine kept their lead and got the second bullet of the day ahead of Thailand. Singapore finished third, followed by South Korea. Ukraine has already qualified to the final series in Bahrain of the SSL Gold Cup. We'll see you tomorrow for the Golden Day. Remember, all races count double.
Minus 10, 9, 8. We have a go for main engine start. We have main engine start. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Jan, I'm already getting goosebumps here in studio because just seeing all these teams, seeing the video of Bahrain, they're already being part of history. It's the first SSL Gold Cup, the Football World Cup, but just in sailing. And today we're going to find the 4 next team, 2 teams in each group, qualifying into next round, and it's going to be a battle for it.
It's definitely going to be a battle. Every single one of these qualifying series we have been seeing a battle, and today is no exception. On top of it, today we've got more wind than we had yesterday, so it'll be really exciting. We should be seeing some action out on the water. Boats will be going fast.
And with that, let's see the race schedule of today. We have 2 races coming up. We're starting with Group 8 today. 4 boats in the water: South Korea, Singapore, Thailand, Ukraine. They will start here 11:05, and we are on time today with very good wind conditions. Then we go into Group 7 straight away. You just need to switch the teams on the water. It will take a little bit of time because there's so much wind today. Safety first. But then India, Malaysia, and South Africa will fight for it. Even if South Africa and Ukraine already qualified, they're in for the winnings. They want to show they are the best in the world.
Yeah, there are 2 things. First of all, South Africa, when they were here last year for the test events, they won, and they would love to win again this time. That would be 2 wins in a row as they're coming here. So that's, for them, is really important. And for Ukraine, they've been on top of the podium all week long. They also want to finish on a high note. They want to finish first today, and they want to make sure they hear their national anthem. Even though they are qualified, they could potentially be in second place. So yeah, qualified, but they don't want that. They want to be on top.
They want to be on top. And let's compare the teams that we are having here in race number 1 of today. It's the last race of the SSL Gold Cup. It's race number 6. It's Golden Day double points. And Jan, who do we have with us today?
Yeah, so starting top left, we have Team South Korea. They call themselves the Red Fury. They are SSL ranked number 56 in the world. And their total weight is 725, which is 5 kilos close to the maximum, which is a very good thing. Right next to them, we have Singapore, Guardians of the Bay. They are SSL ranked number 37 in the world, and their team weight is 655 kilos. So we're seeing a little bit heavier than yesterday because they have added, I believe, 1 person in
Actually,
their crew.
it's close to 100 kilos they added.
Yeah, so that's, but they're still down. Yeah, they're still way down. And right there, so 655 kilos. The team captain for Team Singapore is Jovina Chu. Below that, Thailand call themselves Cheng Tai. They are world ranking number 42, and they're at 722 kilos. And we have team captain right there, Nai. Nai directly translates as boss, so she's the boss on board. Last team that we have bottom right is Ukraine, Haidamaki. They are world ranking number 33, weighing at 726 kilos. They are currently the heaviest team and also the best ranked team. I just want to mention also Jimin Ha, which is South Korea's captain.
Yeah, and with all that, let's see the overall score of the teams, because we're going into the Golden Day. Points count doubled. It means if you win this race today, you will get 8 points. Second, 6, third will get 4, and then 4th position 2 points. This also means we were looking into the Ukraine. They just need to finish today, then they're qualified for Bahrain. So no crashes, no disqualification for Ukraine, and don't do any big mistakes, so they will get minus points. So they need to do a safe ride to qualify. Thailand, 15 points. Singapore, 10 points. So those 2 teams will battle for it. Singapore will try to win the race. Thailand, they need to ensure that they're not losing the race. And then we have South Korea that's fighting for the glory and the honor to show, hey, we actually been doing a great performance here during the SSL Gold Cup. We want to win the last race.
Yeah, that's right. South Korea would like to be on top and show, get their first win of the week.
Yeah, and if you want to follow the teams, then join them on the social medias. There you can find them, SSL, and the team numbers and the team names. But you can also go to SSL Gold Cup and see all the info we have on the teams and all the social media things. But with that said, let's go to the teams. Let's have an interview with Team Ukraine.
Yeah, you're sure. For us, it's not the big problem. I think for 1 point only, but they win today. It's more strong, and is it both more professional, and our team is like the just built for this regatta. And for us, it's mostly it's the careful, it's safety, and just the sailing, the good sailing, and we will see. For us, it's not necessary today to get the first results. Yeah, for us, it's just the sailing enjoy, and it's all. Yeah.
and just enjoy. And let's enjoy the lineup of Team Ukraine here. And Jan, you know them quite well. We have two candidates of this team that is quite good.
Yeah, that's right. If you look at the top grinder, Kudryashov, he actually won gold in the Olympics in 2012 in laser class. So right there. And then we also have Igor Matvienko, who is, you just saw right there on that interview, that's the captain of the team, and he's been 3 times to the Olympics. He was in Atlanta, Sydney, and Athens. He's a 470 specialist. He is also world champion in the 470 class.
Yeah, and they're going to fight against Team Thailand. So let's hear a little bit from Team Thailand.
Yep, we've got a good margin on Singapore, so as long as we don't lose the race, they win the race, we should be qualifying. We're still within 2 points of the win of the group, and so always we're going to try our best to go for the win. And yeah, you can't not go for the win, right? Yeah, well, if we win the race, we will qualify and we win the group stage. So yeah, we're going for the win.
And the lineup of Team Thailand is quite interesting. They're going to fight for it today. They need to keep sure that Singapore is behind them, Jan. Who do we have on the team?
Well, definitely, as we said, we've got the boss, Nai. She's at the helm right there. She is Opti world champion. She is also a 29er world champion, and that's not counting all the other unbelievable results she's had. The tactician is a 49er specialist, and he was 3rd at the World Junior Championships, along with Dylan Whitcraft. So we've got some very experienced sailors right there.
Yeah, the two brothers are doing a great job, but they have a big fight against Team Singapore. So let's hear what they have to say of today's races.
Well, I think we are going to have the best start we can possible. Obviously, we are a bit low on the leaderboard today, so we're going to have to fight as hard as we can to come out on top. So that is our strategy, just to win. Well, the good news is the reason why we were so light was that one of our members was down with COVID, and he is back, so our weight difference isn't as big now. And to be honest, we've been holding our lane quite well, even though we've had 150 kg weight difference. So I don't think it's going to be as much of a challenge today. We're just going to fight and give it our best.
Team Singapore, the lineup's coming in. They've been taking some chances, but today they need to win. So, Jan, who do we have there as the profiles?
Yeah, right there, a big profile on Team Singapore is Jovina Chu. She's a 470 specialist. She's the captain of the team. She was in the Rio Olympics a couple years ago, and she was 4th in the 470s Women World Cup. She was 5th at the Opti Worlds when she was a little bit younger, and lastly, she's been 3rd at the Nations Cup match racing. Well, also, just beneath that, we have right next to her, we'll have the main trimmer, Xiu, who is a 470 specialist. She was at the Beijing Olympics and won the Far East 23 ASAF Cup.
Wow, and then we have a team that has a lot to fight for. They are fighting for the honor, but they have been part of history already. It's Team South Korea. They're coming in here.
Yeah, Team South Korea here. We have Ji-Min Ha. He has been 4 times to the Olympics. He's at the helm right there. So that was Beijing, London, Rio, and Tokyo. So a lot of experience from his part. Also, we have America's Cup experience with the tactician in the back right there, Kim. We also have the trimmer who's been 2 times to the Olympics, Mr. Chu. Yeah, we've got a lot of Olympic experience, and there's a couple more that have great experience on this South Korean team.
Yes, and let's go back in studio here. And Jan, it's quite amazing to see these teams here. And let's talk a little bit about South Korea, because as you said, they have quite some Olympic experience there. But the way these teams are assembled is they're not used to sail the SSL 47. It's a one-design boat, but the team is a mix of a lot of dinghy sailors.
Yeah, that's right. A lot of, remember, what's very special about the SSL is that it's a little bit of a different format. So we're really getting, first of all, everybody who's on the boat has to have the passport of the boat the country for which they're sailing for. And then you're going to get the specialists. So you'll get like the 49er sailors, 29er laser sailors. They're the best ones in their country, and they're getting qualified to come over here. Now, they're used to sailing on a smaller boat, so that's already a big difference for them. But another thing is we're seeing them having to work together really as a team. Remember, they're 9. Some of these teams are 10 right now, just to bring that weight up. So there's a lot of new things that they have to get used to.
And a lot of new things they have to get used to. And one of the special thing of the SSL Gold Cup is the national anthems. So please welcome Team Ukraine. Quite a story with Ukraine. Nice to see them there singing the national anthem and fighting for their nation here at the SSL Gold Cup. Another team that is fighting a lot is Team Thailand. And they are going to fight for it because they have Bahrain in reach. So Thailand needs to fight for it. But another team they're going to fight again is Team Singapore. So please welcome Singapore. Wow, and what a battle. Singapore versus Thailand on the water. But another battle that's coming in is South Korea. They want to fight and go all the way and show their skills today. So please welcome South Korea.
대한민국
And Jan, we're going to see some nice battles today. South Korea, they're going to fight for the glory and the honor, trying to take a victory. But there's another battle, Thailand-Singapore. So how do you think this race will unfold?
Yeah, there's a lot of battles, right? Everybody has something to prove today. I really don't know what to expect. We just found out there's 18 knots out there on the water, so that's the most we've ever seen in these qualifying series. Let's take one thing at a time. Obviously, all scenarios are possible, but I think one of the most important things is going to be the start. We've seen that as being a decisive factor in being able to place well. So right now we're just about to get racing underway. So the starting sequence is going to be really, really important today.
And with that said, let's see how the races are going to unfold today. Here we have the beautiful boats. They're preparing, but let's see at the race course. They are going to have to start. And as you said, Jan, in the start is where they're going to battle. Then they're going zigzag upwind to a top mark, rounding the top mark, going to the offset mark, launching the Jinnaga, going downwind to a gate mark. Here they need to choose which side they want to go to. And then again, zigzag to the top mark, offset mark, and race towards the finish line. And Jan, if we're seeing the graphic once time again, where's the most battles going to be?
So it's right here, it's right now, right there, just before actually everything starts going off to that first windward beat. Now that first windward beat is a drag race, and then we're going to start seeing some actions, especially down here at gate number 2, where we'll have to be dropping the spinnakers. Now we'll see what sort of action happens at that moment right there.
Yeah, and with this fantastic graphics, let's see how the weather's out there. You can see there's no clouds in the sky, but it's very windy. 18 knots of wind, bearing 60 degrees. And Jan, you're here from the region, you're here from the lake. What does this mean?
Well, where they're sailing right now and the wind coming out of the north, we are sort of on the southerly part of the lake. And so the waves are getting actually quite big where they are. Well, quite big for lake sailing, that is. We can easily have waves that are more than a meter tall. So it should be really great for them on the downwind. They'll be able to surf some of those waves. So we should be able to see some really nice surfing. And then also we'll see a lot of water splashing as they're beating up to the windward mark.
And a lot of water splashing coming in. And Rachel, is the water splashing on you out there? And how is the wind? Do you have your jacket on today?
Yes, you can say that loud. The water is splashing, and I'm not going to take my jacket off, Thomas. Hello, good morning. And you can see it's quite wild out here. Actually, it is wild. It's going to be a rodeo. I think the main battle for the teams today will be to actually manage the boat correctly and not do any mistakes. Because, with the 18 knots of wind and these big waves, like Jan said, we are in the bottom part of the lake. So, the waves have a lot of road to make to get bigger, and they are big. So the most important thing for the teams today will be to manage the boat correctly, the maneuvering. and it's not going to be easy. I mean, I see that even the kite foil, the kite surf, the windsurf, they were out earlier. They are not out anymore. So I wonder if this is too much for them. So, I mean, we'll see. We'll see. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be, like I said, a rodeo today out here.
Thank you, Rachel. It's going to be a battle out there, Jan. And we're just seeing the boats here preparing in the pre-start. What they're doing, you can see they were sailing towards the starting line. They're counting time, because normally if you're not used to seeing sailing the SSL for Gold Cup here, then if you're seeing classic sailing with dinghy boats, you will see the boats go up to the starting line, actually almost start on the spot on the starting line. But these boats, you really need to do something special with.
There we go. We're at 4 minutes before the start, and you're right. You know, really, these boats are a little bit bigger, obviously, than a dinghy, and they require a little bit more time to actually get themselves started, especially when you have a lot of wind like today. You know, you've got those waves, and you really got to get that boat moving. So that's why we're not going to be seeing boats that are stopped on the starting line. We're really looking for boats that can carry momentum and go through the starting line with as much speed as possible. But now, you know, they're in the box right now, and they're sort of jostling for places. They're lining themselves up, you know, as best they can right now. You know, as Raquel was saying, it's just a question of, you know, it's going to be a rodeo. So they're just sort of, shall we say, seeing, you know, how their ride is behaving right now.
And here we have one team that can race freely today, Team Ukraine. They just need to finish the race to be in the finals of Bahrain. But I know one thing. I spoke with the captain this morning, and he said, "Hey, Thomas, I'm here to win. I'm here to show how great a sailing nation Ukraine is." So they will bring the battle in. And if you see the graphic here, you can see Singapore, they're sailing a little bit for themselves. Thailand, South Korea and Ukraine is sailing together. So Singapore is trying to find a solution so they can have the best possible start, because they only have one solution to go to Bahrain today. It's to win this race number 6 on the Golden Day, and keep Thailand behind them.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see where they decide to start the race. We know that being the lured boat really has a big advantage, and it looks like Singapore, like you're saying, you know, they want to be out there, so they're trying to keep that lured position. Look at that! Look at how much water is being splashed and splashing around the waves and stuff. So really interesting to see these boats now. You know, a lot of wind, yeah, that's great, but it makes a lot of waves, so the boats stop really quickly. Now, it'll be interesting to see how they're going to block one another, and we'll see who's going to try to get that lured position. We've seen sort of Ukraine wanting that lured position, and it's kind of looking as though they are setting themselves up to get there.
And looking into this, Singapore, I might think they did a small tactical mistake there, because they are now on the inside, closest to the committee boat. It looks so good in the start, they were on the outside, and now they're caught on the inside. So South Korea can cut them off, or are they hoping for South Korea's opening up a small box for them so they can race for the starting line here?
I think South Korea right now is just trying to avoid having Ukraine, you know, getting the overlap on them. So they're sort of staying out in front. There we go. We see they're bearing away really hard in order to... Yeah, there you go. So now you see those massive movements that they're doing with the boat. That really slows the boat down, because you know, they're putting the rudder in sideways, and it's just one way to slow the boat down. There's 40 seconds.
They're too early at that starting line. They need to turn around all the boats. If they're crossing too early, it's an individual recall. It looks like all the team missed time to start. So they're going to spin around or slow down the boat.
That's right. South Korea right now has got the upper hand. They're really... Well, what's going to happen is because they're too early, it could also open the door for Thailand right there. We see them stopped. You see how they're not actually getting the boat to move forward. Everybody's going to have to go back down. So 10 seconds to the start. They really need to get those boats moving. Looks like Thailand is going to get the best start right here.
Oh, no, they're going in front of the other ones. Oh, there's the start.
And there's the start.
And there's no protest on that one.
That's a clean start, and a very good start for Thailand, as well as for Ukraine.
Yeah,
managing to
doing
keep
it.
that boat going, and there we go. Ukraine right now is taking the lead on the start, and just like we've seen on the other days, they get out in front and they stay out in front.
And yet again, South Korea, a slow start, and now they tack to the opposite side of the others. When we saw the race course, there's a right-hand side and left-hand side. Oh, who's tacking there behind also South Korea? See, they're fighting for it right now.
Yes, the line is so small that when South Korea actually had to get their speed going back up, they were much too close to the pin end boat.
Yeah.
And they didn't make the line. They actually had to tack behind everybody else and go off to the right. Wow, look at those waves and look at those bows just planting into the water. Beautiful shots.
Yeah, and here beside them,
Oh, I love it.
we can see how they all tack towards the right-hand side, except Ukraine. They're doing the same tactics as yesterday. They go to the left.
Yeah, here we go with the
Yeah.
replay.
Here, the replay of the start. See how
So
they are
see how
dancing.
Korea is just so far down, towards the pin end. They just didn't manage to get there. And I thought it was Thailand, but I guess it was Singapore
yeah.
that really got a good start right there. They managed to get some speed, and then bam, right on time. So both Singapore and Ukraine getting the best start out there. Korea, unfortunately, were too close to the
Yeah,
close
just-
to the line
yeah.
and too early as well.
But they actually did a good thing there. They turned back, make a bigger turn so they can keep the speed in the boat, because it's all about the speed also when you're doing these races. Here we have the battle. It's Singapore versus Thailand. They're following each other. Thailand has only one focus, keep Singapore away from winning. But right now, Singapore is in the lead, and that's the battle.
It's really interesting. We were looking just earlier on that shot. Now take a look at the mainsails. You'll see them. They're sort of flapping around, and pretty much, I would say about 95% of the power that is being made right now on these boats is coming from the jib. The mainsails right there are depowered because there is already so much wind out there. Remember, they've got the smallest jibs as well. So right now, it's just really a question of getting that boat to move forward and not overpowering it.
Yeah, and we have quite an interesting battle here. Singapore on the inside, Thailand on the outside. And Singapore is so close to Thailand that they can both throw dirty air on them, wind shadow, but they can also control them and push them way out of the ley line. So right now it's Singapore deciding when these two teams want to tack to the opposite side, because Thailand can only follow them.
Yeah, it's a drag race right now, so they're just trying to make sure they're getting out into some clean air and trying to figure out also their boat and how to set the boat and how much power they can give. Now, if you look at the onboard camera, like we were just looking at earlier, we see how the boom is down to the leeward side of the boat. And look at right there, you see that boom really down there. So they're really opening up that mainsail because if they have too much power, then the boat is going to lean over, and that's not actually going to help them go any faster.
So right now it's a fight against the nature, a fight against all the nature force we have out there, the wind, the waves, and at the same time handling and controlling the boat, steering it, because if they overpower, they will actually lose speed, and if they do a wrong maneuvering, then they will sail a long distance towards that top mark.
Yeah, exactly. And with these wind conditions, it's really easy to make a mistake. So remember, we haven't had these wind conditions all week. We've had strong winds, but not up to 18 knots.
And now we have the first interesting battle. Thailand is keeping the direction towards the right-hand side. Singapore crossing in towards the left-hand side. And that's quite interesting because now they're splitting away from each other. Singapore wants to go away from Thailand, but it looks like, they're calling there. There's another boat in front of them. It's Ukraine. Ukraine and Singapore is approaching each other. You can just see the front person there showing to Ukraine, continue your path, continue, or we're sailing into you. So Singapore with that move is now in third. They were in the lead and was controlling Thailand, but they need to do something to go in and win this race.
Yeah, they do need to do something right now, and it's really interesting to see these crosses as we had Ukraine coming in from the left side, and here we go.
Thailand, they have the right away. Oh, pressuring Ukraine.
Very good tack from Ukraine right there. Having, they are right now, even though they are the leeward boat, they do have an advantage of being in that leeward position, and it's interesting to see that actually, it looks very even. Both of the teams have come back together, so it doesn't look like we have an advantage by going off to the left or going off to the right. And so really it's a very open playing field right now. They just need to concentrate on their boat handling skills, making sure they go fast.
But it was a very good move by Thailand here, pressing Ukraine to do attack, and they timed it perfectly, because now Singapore is in trouble because they're both behind Ukraine, behind Thailand, and now they're approaching Team South Korea. They might come in and doing troubles. So it looks so good with that start for Singapore, but because of that move from Thailand and that split they had, Thailand and Ukraine is putting themselves in the lead of the race upwind.
Now remember, Thailand, they have 10 people on their boat right there because they are a little bit smaller than the Ukrainians, and so they're trying, and they're a little bit lighter. So now what will be interesting is really this battle here that we see between Thailand and Ukraine, and seeing who can set their boat up the fastest, and this little battle. We've seen them battle all week long, and again here we've got a battle between Thailand and Ukraine. Yeah. So there is quite a weight difference. One boat is sailing with 9 people, the other boat is sailing with 10 people. Even though they're sailing with 9, they're still heavier because they're bigger. So interesting to look at this right now. Look at the difference, 2 meters in it. So pretty much there is nothing. It's a tie between Thailand and Ukraine right now. Let's see how this battle continues.
Yeah, but it's interesting to see. We just saw the beautiful pictures here. Singapore continue to the left-hand side. Korea going to the right-hand side in the middle of the race course. Ukraine and Thailand is following Singapore. And I think that Singapore hopes that Ukraine and Thailand will start battling it out before approaching the top mark, because then they can sneak in. But Singapore put themselves in a very bad position at the moment. Thailand and Ukraine can control them, because when Singapore goes up to the mark, they have port side, meaning that the 2 other boats have the right of way and can control them.
Yes, they can. I mean, we'll see a little bit more about this whole controlling issue right now, and it's looking like right now they've found a little bit of a better setting, as we see that the mainsail now is currently not flapping on either one of the boats, so they're getting their boats dialed in. Obviously, the problem with only having the jib pull yourself is that actually you're not equalizing the forces between the main and the jib, and which means that you have to change your rudder angle. And if your rudder is sideways in the water, then you'll be going slower. So it's really, even though there is a lot of wind, it's really important for them to be able to balance the power between the mainsail and the jib in order to keep the rudder straight. And that's really what we're looking at, and that's, so everybody's got to be working on that. It's the guys that are hiking out there, they've got to make sure they're setting their sails so that the skipper can make the boat go fast.
And now we see attack from Team South Korea. They managed to go to the right-hand side, and it looks like they powered up. They got much better wind. They controlled the boat much better. And now they're actually putting themselves in a position where they both can pressure Ukraine and Thailand at the same time. So because of this wind strain we had out there, they are not sailing faster than yesterday upwind. They're only sailing 7 to 8 knots of wind speed of the boats. And that's just meaning that the waves, the wind is making a little bit impact on the teams how to sail this boat, and it's the first time we have been having such a hard wind breeze. So Korea is in a good position now, but this is really bad for Singapore, because now Korea, Thailand, Ukraine is controlling Singapore.
Yeah, there's one thing you have to remember about boat speed is that first of all, these guys right now, obviously they're having the wind which is blowing on them, which is what we call the true wind, right? And but you have to also add the fact that they're moving forward. So they're getting more wind going over the deck than 18 knots. They're probably looking at something like 22, maybe 24 knots of wind in their sails. So really, it makes a big difference, and that's why we're not seeing them being able to, because they have to deal with that overpowered sails. But however, it's going to be really interesting when we get to the downwind, because at that point they'll be cruising down and hopefully surfing down those big waves they're smashing into right now.
Yeah, and Singapore, South Korea, they're here to fight for the honor and the glory. They want to win this race. They want to show the world they are part of this World Cup. They can also perform. They've actually been doing some great performance the last couple of days, taking one or two wrong decisions, putting them behind. But here you can see they're approaching the other boats. They have to ride away. They're on starboard, but there's a battle with 3 boats in the opposite side. Thailand, Ukraine, Singapore, so close to each other. But South Korea coming in between them, has to ride away. This can actually be a very bloody fight here, because this can actually make into trouble. See,
Yeah,
it looks
I
like
mean,
Singapore will survive it, but the rest of them.
Korea right there was, had the worst start of them all. But check it out right now.
Yeah.
They're coming back onto them. They might not be able to catch Thailand, but it looks like Ukraine and Singapore
captured.
are going to have to duck below. There we go. Out Singapore there in the last place, and making Ukraine tack over. Thailand getting out of that situation, still having clear wind and not having anybody to disturb them.
But very good move, and here we really saw the tactics, the battle of chess, of sailing, how they're using the rules. Rule number 10, starboard port side. Ukraine got caught in this one and need to tack away, or they could bear behind South Korea. But now the trouble is for South Korea. If they're getting too far away from Thailand and Singapore and they tack towards the mark, then they will get caught in the same rule. So sometimes it's good to attack, but you're also putting yourself in a defensive position, and that's what's happening right now.
South Korea, they call themselves the Red Fury, and I think they definitely are on fire. They like I just said, they got the worst start, but look, they're back into the game. They're actually doing a really good job. So they've got it figured out. They've got their boat figured out, and they're really fast.
Yeah, and here we're seeing the teams. They're hiking out. Great performance here, and they're just watching. Hey, what's all the other teams doing? Where are they? We need to control this boat. We need to make sure that we're not getting caught in all these rules, all this tactical play. They have upwind to the top mark, and you can just see how the communication is, how they are orientating all the way around. Behind them you can see Thailand, so Singapore, they need to time it, and it looks like Thailand's a little bit faster than them. You can almost see it on the ship, how the sail angle is right now.
Yeah, look at Nai right there. She's really working that boat, and she's making sure that she's going as fast as they can. Working with the waves, when we start having waves that are big enough like this, it's a little bit difficult because these boats are so big, and the waves are actually, we've got a very small period between the waves, and so therefore, but you're always trying to sort of bear away a little bit as you're going up the wave, and then you're trying to head up as you're going back down the wave. So you will see them trying to work the boat, and if we take a look right there, you see how there's ever such small changes right there on the steering wheel, just trying to power up, heading up right there a little bit. Really interesting to see the amount of work that's going on. Everybody's still working. Look at that on the main sheets, the grinders, doing a lot of work at the helm right there. So they're definitely on fire.
And now we're seeing an interesting battle. Ukraine going second, Singapore in third, South Korea dropping to fourth. And if we see here on the tracking we have here, we can see that Thailand changed the angle towards the mark and going in front of South Korea, throwing some dirty air behind them. Ukraine is caught on the inside, Singapore keeping their angle towards the right-hand side. This means that Singapore trying to keep the same speed in the boat. Thailand is slowing a little bit down, but getting closer to the mark. Remember, if you're new to sailing, you cannot just take this boat, sail straight to a mark like a motorboat. You need to zigzag. You need to use the wind as an engine. And right now, Thailand is playing with that.
Yeah, they are, and they've managed to do it very well, which shows them right now in that leadership positions. But if you look down, between Singapore, Ukraine, and South Korea, they're constantly changing. They're pretty much all at a tie, which should see a big battle, and we'll see what happens as they all get to the mark at pretty much at the same time. We'll have 3 boats getting to that windward mark at the same time.
And Rachel, before we are coming to mark, what's happening out there on the water? I can see the wind speed has dropped a little bit. I'm not sure we're getting into Rachel. It's too windy out there. But that's okay. Here they're approaching the top mark. Up in the top, you can see Thailand coming first to the top mark. You can see the two marks, the top mark and the offset mark. Thailand crossing in, and now we have rules in again. See Ukraine on the inside, and
yeah,
on the outside we have South Korea.
Thailand definitely easily getting out in front of the other boats. Now I'd like to see what's happening on the left-hand side here with the three boats that are coming in together.
Yeah, it's coming in. Let's see. There the battle is. Oh,
there we
a
go.
battle behind. South Korea ducks under Singapore. Ukraine survives and go on the outside.
It looks like both those two boats, I'm not sure if they're actually going to be able to make the mark. It looks like South Korea right there is going to have to do a double tack.
It's a great move by Singapore. You're correct. They need to do a double tag. Singapore nailed it. They kept South Korea behind them. And now they're doing like yesterday, remember? It's they're racing
they're going
the race
to stop
car.
very, very, very quickly. Those, see there, they hit two waves and the boat is stopped. So they're losing quite a bit of distance with Ukraine. Ukraine now, let's go and take a look at these spinnakers coming up and see if they have any issues.
Yeah,
They've been doing a really good job all week of putting up the spinnakers, and you know, I don't expect them to have any issues. Let's take a look right here. They're really going to be going, bearing away really nicely, making sure they're putting up that spinnaker behind their mainsail, and then as soon as it gets filled up, and it's going to be a rocket ship down the
yeah, down the wind here. We can see here Thailand, good launch. Here we have Team Ukraine coming up. A funny story about Ukraine, when we talked with the captain yesterday, he said, it was quite fun for us launching the Jenigo the first time, because that was actually the first time we did it together as a team. So, and it worked. And so we will continue doing that. They have not been having the same conditions because of some other things out in the world. Oh, what's happening there? As the other team. So they actually joined together last time. And,
yeah, they're totally new. They don't really know each other at all. They've learned to sail together as they were racing. They haven't had any practice together. I mean, you know, we weren't sure that everybody was going to be able to get here on time.
No, but now,
Team Ukraine.
Jan, you talked about speed. Ukraine hitting the speed record of this event. 13.4 knots. They are speeding up. Where Thailand only 11.3, Singapore 12.4, and South Korea 11.9. The score right now is Ukraine is winning and qualified for Bahrain. Thailand is going for Bahrain. Singapore and South Korea is not qualified. 23 points. And the reason why Ukraine is in the lead is because they've been winning most races at this point. But things can still happen. Things can still develop, because Thailand is not capturing the wind the same speed as the other teams. They're slowing down. The other teams are approaching them. So it's like they're caught in wind shadow by Ukraine, and they will be in trouble. Are we going to see a Cuba versus Oman now, where Ukraine will push them out, Thailand out, and then make room for Singapore and South Korea?
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I'll tell you what, though. Right now, I'm telling you, Ukraine knows. Well, perhaps they do know that you know, they're in the lead right now. Even though they're tied for points, they've been winning more races. So therefore, they are ranked #1 right now. So they've got to keep that second place in order to get on top step of the podium a little bit later on today. Really, what they're going to be concentrating on is not making any mistakes. I mean, that's the worst thing that could happen.
And a new speed record comes in. South Korea 14 knots downwind. They are speeding up, and as you're normally saying, Jan, the boat behind is getting the wind pressure the first, and right now we see South Korea is the fastest. The boats in the lead are slowing down. It's not because of the wind shadow, it's because of the wind pressure out there.
Yeah, that's right. The wind comes from behind, obviously, when you're going downwind, and the first ones to be able to touch those puffs is going to be Korea. So we expect South Korea to be able to sort of bridge the gap between the other teams. Now, these onboard pictures are just amazing. We're seeing they're actually down quite low, and then we'll be seeing them do a little bit of surfing. I can't wait until we get the shots from the motorboat, seeing them from the outside, really seeing them surf those waves. It's really impressive.
But you can also see the pictures behind here, how South Korea is almost capturing Singapore. Singapore is almost getting captured. Oh, there's a jibe. Ukraine is jibing in. And see, oi, oi, oi,
No,
so
there's
close.
an issue right there.
Oi!
That's a port and starboard issue right there with Thailand trying to jibe out in front of Ukraine. Ukraine ducking down saying, hey, boys, port and starboard, where are you? They put up the protest flag. Now, really, Thailand knows they messed up here. They will have to do a 360. So they're going to have to take that spinnaker down, because if that's a port and starboard situation, they were obviously on port tack and Ukraine was on starboard. Now
that couldn't be worse for them if that happened. We're waiting for the juries to come in if they call a penalty there, because there was port and starboard there, and Ukraine, it looks like they wanted to jibe, but they had to continue and they couldn't do anything. There was no red flag on it. They didn't protest on it. So no protest. There was room enough. So Thailand survived that one Ukraine-Thailand battle. So Ukraine, they are first jibing now, but Thailand, see how close Singapore is to them now. So Singapore takes over the battle against Thailand. So
yeah,
that was very
close. We'll have to see what happens right there with Thailand and Ukraine. I mean, perhaps that Ukraine did bear away and try to get that penalty on Thailand, and they just managed to pass in front without having to actually avoid them. It's we'll see what happens. Perhaps we'll get a jury call on that one, and we can get one of the juries to tell us, what the verdict is on that one.
But there was no protest from Ukraine. I'm just getting a confirmation of that. You can see here they're coming in here. They are getting ready.
Jibe with Thailand. We see here Ukraine bearing away right there.
Yeah, but they didn't protest. Yeah, protest is up. Red flag is up, but where's the jury?
So there's a red flag, and when you put up the red flag, if the jury is right there, is on the left-hand side. Now,
let's see. It looks like a green one.
Flag.
It's a green one.
Is it a green one?
It's a green flag. So it's clean for Thailand, but that could be a huge game changer.
That was a very good try.
Yeah.
Here we go. Surfing down the waves. Look at that bow wave, just cruising 14 knots. These boats are now currently doing as they're cruising down here downwind. And remember, we were talking about that position, shoulders a little bit more outside of their hips, really trying to feel the boat. Everybody in the back of the boat, trying to avoid having the bow dig down. So we're seeing the boats just really cruising right there.
We're seeing the boats cruising. We are seeing the data. We are seeing that right now. Thailand is the fastest boat, 11.9 knots. Ukraine, 10.8. Singapore, 10.3. South Korea, 9.2 at the moment. So Thailand is riding the waves, riding the wind at the moment. First, they did a daring jibe in front of Ukraine, survived that one. No penalties. They just have room enough for doing it, and now they're also hitting the wind and taking the lead. Is this the moment where they're qualifying for Bahrain, or will we see them being challenged once again?
Yeah, well, let's see what happens. I mean, that was a really close one. So it just goes to show you, that the distance between Thailand and Ukraine is really very, very small. We'll just have to see what happens, because as it stands right now, it looks like Ukraine is going to be able to go straight to the gates, as Thailand will absolutely have to do another jibe, and anything can happen on these jibes. Remember, with this amount of wind, we're never very far away from a catastrophe.
600 meters now. It's going very fast. It's really going closer and closer to that gate mark. Thailand is approaching 550 meters left. Now they need to take a decision, but the tactic Thailand has been doing, they need to do an extra jibe.
There we go. There we go. That's there's the jibe from Thailand right there. Off on the top of your screen, you're seeing the two gates right there on the left and on the right. So right now they've got one more maneuver to do, and that's taking that spinnaker down. On the right-hand side right there, we're seeing Ukraine that's coming in. They don't have the right of way. Thailand has the right of way, but I thought they were going to be able to make the gate. It doesn't appear so. No. It looks like Ukraine is also going to have to jibe. Are they going to jibe on top of Thailand?
If they're doing it now, they can take the win away from Thailand.
There we go. Okay, they're tacking on top of Thailand. They're going to be trying to steal their win.
See the spinnaker, how it moves. The wind is disappearing for Thailand.
Come on, boys, get that spinnaker up.
And there we have the situation. It's almost seeing Oman attacking it's attacking Cuba again.
That's right. Although now it's Ukraine attacking Thailand right here.
See the Spinnaker, how it's moving. It's
Now,
not catching all the wind.
There's a boat and a half distance between both the boats. Really, right now, let's see how this is going to play with the Spinnakers coming down from Thailand. Looking good. Very nice. Dropping everything down onto the deck. A little bit into the water. It doesn't look too bad. Oh, no. It looks like we have actually Spinnakers in the water for Thailand, making them go a little bit further than the gate. It looks like as though right now, look at that. Ukraine, they can head up right now, and they'll be right on the tail of Thailand. So a little bit of a better drop from Ukraine, closing the gap on Thailand.
But also very close. Again, Thailand, it's a little bit hard to say, but a very sloppy mark rounding again here at the gate mark. They had the issues yesterday. Remember how big turn they took at the gate mark? Again, a big turn. Either they're doing it to keep the speed in the boat, or else it's that Spinnaker drop every time that's causing them trouble.
You know, what I think it is I think they're really concentrated on what's happening inside the boat, and instead of looking at where the buoy is and stuff, they're really making sure that what's happening inside the boat is working well, and that probably that's the reason why they're not seeing that mark. So a little bit, probably a little bit too many eyes inside the boat and not, looking outside at what's going on.
And now we have a split situation. South Korea and Singapore arrived at the gate mark at the same time. Singapore going to the right-hand side. Oh, Ukraine is doing a attack battle against Team Thailand also. So we have battles on all sides.
So that's their second attack for Ukraine right now. It looks like, are we going to be seeing Thailand covering? Yes, Thailand is covering Ukraine. And are we going to be seeing Ukraine going back to the right-hand side?
Yeah, but this is good news. See Singapore here on the right-hand side. They're free. There's no boats there. The 3 other boats are battling. It could be a very good situation for Singapore. And this is the chess battle again. If you're new to sailing, it looks like Singapore is far, far away from the rest of the fleet. No, they're sailing towards the top mark. They are zigzagging all the way up. Singapore is going to the right-hand side. The other boats are crossing to the left-hand side. And they are battling it out. So Singapore is capturing wind. Wow. Then they are back in this race, but they're putting themselves in a starboard situation now.
Yeah, they're back. Well, they're back into the race. I mean, they're not, right? I mean, they're a little bit further behind, but they're putting themselves in a position where they're not going to have to battle against all these other boats. As you so often say, you lose you calculated about 30 meters every time you do attack. Remember, Ukraine and Thailand right now are at their third or fourth tack, and so really they've lost probably 100 meters. So they keep doing that. Singapore and Korea are going to be really coming back quick into the game.
But looking at the speed difference, it's looked like Singapore is doing a great job. They are the fastest boat at the moment, so they're hitting 8 knots of wind speed. The rest of the fleet, 7 knots of wind speed. So Korea and Singapore going to the right-hand side. We can also see Korea speeding up right now. So Thailand, Ukraine is going into lighter wind, or is not having the same wind speed, the same breeze at their side. That's good news for Singapore. See, now they're also taking the lead in front of Korea.
Yeah, it's a tough position for Ukraine that they're in right now because, but it looks as though they're staying in it and they're getting some fresh wind. We're seeing Korea and right here Thailand going off. Who is that? Is that Thailand right there?
Yeah, this is Singapore. We are watching
Singapore,
right now.
Right.
They're just focusing on their own race. They're not watching after the other boats. They are need to time it now.
Singapore is going off to the right-hand side, right? So they're on a port tack. Here we go. Yeah, that's them. They're just concentrating on making their boat go really fast.
See the tactician watching the other boats, watching the top mark. When are they going to tag? Are they so daring that they will go all the way to the right-hand side, only doing one tack towards the top mark and try to hit starboard port side rule 10, have the right away, while Thailand and Ukraine is battling it out. South Korea in the middle, they're losing momentum, they are slowing down. It's not their race again.
Yeah, they could do that. They could go off to the right, but that's taking a lot of chances. Now, granted, this is the last race. If they don't do something right now, and they're not going to be able to win the race. So yeah, perhaps they're going to roll the dice and they're going to go all the way to the lane line and seeing if they can catch up to the others. For the time being, Ukraine, Thailand are duking it out on the left-hand side right here, and you know, they're slowing themselves down. So they're letting their opponents come back. Really important for Ukraine to stay in that second place.
Two battles on the stake here. Thailand versus Ukraine for who is going to win the group and the last race, the golden race, the honor of winning the last one and having their national anthem at the prize ceremony later today. Singapore taking the chance, rolling the dice, going to the right-hand side, ready to battle against Thailand and Ukraine, and South Korea trying to follow Singapore. They are taking a chance, sailing by themselves. If they manage to go in front of Ukraine and Thailand, everything will switch around, and Singapore is maybe back in the finals at Bahrain.
Yeah, perhaps. We're about halfway through this last race, race number 6. We're on the third leg. We're on the second beat, and for the time being, Thailand is in the lead with Ukraine behind them. Singapore all the way on the right-hand side, rolling the dice, trying to get back, because really, in order to get over to qualify themselves to get into the finals, they absolutely need to win this race.
2,150 meters to the top mark. The second time they're going to cross the top mark. Singapore all alone in the world. It looks like they are sailing a dream race right now in the right-hand side. They are having the most speed in the boat, and they're also sailing the shortest distance towards the mark. But it's all about what happens when they tack towards the mark. Will the wind be on the favored side? Because right now Ukraine and Thailand has been having that wind pressure, and they're switching to Singapore's wind pressure coming from the opposite side.
Yeah, right now with this wind, I can tell you there are definitely puffs and lulls and shifts that are happening out there. So is South Korea trying to just sort of stay in the middle of the playing field and not take too many risks, as opposed to Singapore going all the way out on the right, and it looks like they will be going all the way to the ley line.
And there the attack comes in from Singapore. It's an early attack according to our overview and data. So they will try to see if they can attack Ukraine and Thailand. But I can say when they did the attack, at the same time Ukraine and Thailand tacked towards the top mark also a little bit early. And that means they are trying to do the rule number 10, starboard port side. And this is now or never. This is when the battle is going to be decided. This is now Singapore has the chance to come back in this race. They are trying to make a long-distance attack on Thailand. They are still 150 meters behind, but if they are speeding up and capturing the wind, they are winning over Thailand. You can see over there far, far away, Thailand and Ukraine is, South Korea in the middle, Singapore crossing in. This is the battle. They will meet soon. You can almost see the lines, and when they meet, if Singapore is in front of Thailand and Ukraine, they are back in this race.
Yeah, all they need is to have a small right shift, maybe a little bit of a puff at the same time, and they could be, pulling their advantage. Now, they are 170 meters behind, so it's got to have to be a pretty big shift and a pretty big puff. However, if they don't cross in front, there is still a chance that they can attack the other teams on the last downwind to the finishing line. So right now, a big moment of concentration for Team Singapore. And now Thailand and Ukraine really duking it out up there. Thailand is doing a great job. They should get to the ley line before Team Ukraine, which would put them on a starboard tack as they're going to try to go around the windward mark. So it's looking good for Thailand right now.
Yeah, and we are seeing the first attack coming in from South Korea. We just saw some in footage there from the boat doing a great moving, and they are approaching Ukraine and Thailand, but they're approaching behind them. Here we are in Team Thailand. You can see here behind them, they have Ukraine quite far behind them, 80 meters, so they have room at the mark. And it's all about, they're actually not watching South Korea and Singapore. See, they're not keeping an eye on them. They're keeping an eye on the mark. They're doing their race. They're not defending their position. They only race for that top mark. They want to keep themselves in first and second position, because then they're qualified for Bahrain.
Yeah, qualification for Bahrain is what everybody here is looking for. Like we said earlier, Ukraine is already technically qualified in order to get to the finals. Right now, we need Singapore wants to qualify themselves. They have to win this race.
Singapore trying to attack. It looks like they're slowing down. They lost 60 meters in total to the top mark. They are also right now the slowest boat. No, sorry. They are still the fastest boat, but it's only 0.2 knots in difference. But the angle towards the mark they're doing is much, much worse than the rest of them. Sorry to say worse, because they are actually sailing a little bit away from the mark, trying to speed up. And right now, luckily for them, Thailand and Ukraine is battling it out once again.
Yeah, so we were saying, you know, if we wanted Singapore to get back into it, they needed a right-hand shift and a little bit of a puff. Well, guess what? It's been a left-hand shift, so that's putting them even further behind. They were at 170 meters behind. They're right now at 226, so it's not actually getting better. Like we said, they roll the dice. Going that far out, it's either, you know, it pays or it doesn't, and right now it didn't pay
off, but I have to take the hat off and saying that was a good move. At that moment
when
they did it, a very good move. At that moment, the wind pressure was with them when they're going to the right-hand side. But we also saw when we saw Ukraine and Thailand going to the left-hand side that they were in a lighter wind breeze. So actually, Singapore took the speed up to start with and slow down afterwards, where the other ones took the slow down and now speeding up.
Yeah, it looked good. Obviously, yeah, you're right. It looked good in the beginning, but you know, if you go to the extremities, whether it be on the left side of the race course, the right side of the race course, it's either it's double or nothing. You know, either it's gonna pay or it's absolutely not going to pay, and we're seeing it right now. Oh, they've almost lost 100 meters.
Almost lost 100 meters. Rachel, what's happening on the water? You can see much better than us. We can see the wind is slowing a little bit down, but there's a battle out there.
Yes, there is a battle out here, and it's a battle for us in the media boat just to stay on the boat and not to fall out. It's when the game gets tough, the tough gets going. So like you said, I mean, we were on the right side. We followed the bold move of Team Singapore, but I mean, their bow was very low. The boat was very heeled, so they were not doing the best BMG. They didn't get that right shift they were hoping for. They're attacking now, but unfortunately, I mean, it was the only thing they could do, go on the right and test and try their luck, and that didn't happen. But, I mean, like you said, hats off to them for trying, for being there, but they're far, far away from the two leading boats, who we could only see from afar, but they were doing great. I mean, Team Thailand's asset today is much better than the rest of the fleet. Somehow the boat is less heeled. It's always with the bow higher. I mean, I don't know what they did, but they found the perfect asset for the SSL 47. They're doing better than, apart from the kite drop down at the gate, so far they did better than Team Ukraine. And they're leading this regatta, and they're leading this fleet, the whole series.
So
you can hear that we're speeding up now.
I can hear you speeding up to approach that top mark. Here in studio, we are watching Team Ukraine. Thank you, Rachel, from the water. See how they're hiking up. Ihor is really trying to steer his team here and making them come all the way. But as Rachel is saying, Thailand is really nailing it today.
Yeah, they've got something going on with the twist in their sails, with the rake of their mast. You know, they've found the right setting, and they're really doing a good job. All they got to do right now is just stay out in front. You know, but remember, Ukraine, it's a young team. These guys, you know, have got the knife between their teeth, and they are not about to give up. But remember, we've got some really interesting things that are going to be coming up here. We still have to put up the Genekers and make sure we have no more problems. A lot of things could still happen in this race. We are 3/4 of the way through. We are about to start the last downwind. And let's see what's going to happen as they put up the kites.
There we see the first mark rounding. It's Team Thailand coming first, then it's Ukraine in second, Singapore coming in. And see, you can almost see South Korea, Singapore, they're going to meet each other up there. And I think South Korea, it looks like they're winning it. Oh, it's all about speed. but it's not good for Singapore. There needs to happen something big in front of them. Ukraine and Thailand needs really to, sink. Hit a mine, sink. Hit a mine to come back in this race. So I have to say, Thailand is really nailing it. No. Thailand, if they're not doing a big mistake here, it looks like they're going to parade.
We had incidents yesterday with boats hitting each other, and it was quite literally a swimming pool inside one of those boats. Let's try to avoid any of that today. And here we go. Kites coming up.
Yeah, Ukraine. They can take them time.
Doing a really good job at not putting that spinnaker in the water. It does look a little bit wet. From that
there was a little bit water
drop.
inside it, but a clean one. Thailand, Ukraine, they are leaving that offset mark. But where are the rest of the fleet?
Where are they? Oh, they're over
there
here.
They are.
Yeah,
they are rounding the top mark. And as said, South Korea was winning that upwind leg. Singapore took a huge chance. Hats off for doing that chance and trying to come back in this race, trying to do some magic. But unlucky for them, it was a left-hand shift and not a right-hand shift that was coming in. And that's how it is. Sometimes you need to take the chance.
That's sailing for you right there. You got to take a chance, and you can't always do what you want to do, and sometimes you got to roll the dice. It works, and sometimes it doesn't.
Kite coming up South Korea. This time it looks like it works for them. Not like yesterday where we had the same situation where Singapore suddenly came in front of South Korea because of launching the kite.
There was
issues.
Having issues yesterday with the kite. Looks like we're having a little bit of an issue with
Singapore.
Team Singapore. No, this is not what they needed. Oh, it's just going from bad to worse for Team Singapore. It doesn't look like they're going to be winning this one.
It looks like it's spinned around in the middle. They need to take it down again. Oh, there they go. It's out, but wow, what a slowdown. They lost almost 100 meters in one launch of that
boat
Jenniger.
Handling. There it is, boat handling. You know, it's wow, what a tough break. Tough break for them, really. You see right now 500 meters behind the leader. On the last run, it's really not going to be possible for them to be able to catch up, unfortunately for them.
Yeah, and while watching this graphic, see Team Ukraine, they are approaching Team Thailand. Same situation as last time. Are we going to see a Oman versus Cuba situation again? Are we going to see a penalty? That penalty, if Thailand is getting a penalty here in this case, it can still turn around everything. That can cost them 300 to 400 meters doing a penalty turn. Singapore dives in towards the middle in hope that Ukraine will attack Thailand. Ukraine is sailing 13 knots. Thailand 12 knots. Ukraine approaching. No, now it's switching around. Thailand 13.5. Ukraine drops to 12. So it's a wind shift over there. They're fighting for it, and see how they're looking for Thailand. They are
Look at the
ready to attack.
concentration on their face right there. We see the number 18 right there turning that winch handle. Yeah, that winch handle right there is for the mainsail. Look at the boom. You can see it coming back in every time they're surfing down a wave. Look at that.
They are
surf
an
down
attack.
and they're sort of pumping, so they're bringing in that mainsail, getting a little bit more power, and they're going after Thailand. I'm telling you, these guys, just like I said, they've got the knife between their teeth, and they're going after Thailand. There is no way they're leaving Thailand, letting them get out there. They will attack until the end. This is a battle we have on our hands right now.
They want to win this. They want to show it. They can do an Oman versus Cuba. They just need to approach them with 20 meters.
There we go.
Thailand knows it, so they jive straight away.
Simultaneous jive from Team Ukraine right here, getting right on top of them, trying to steal their wind. They need to have a really nice jibe. Oh, they're setting just slightly after Thailand. Thailand get the set a little bit faster. But right now, Team Ukraine is a really powerful position. No, they lost the kite right now. That's not what they need. Come on, boys. You need to keep that kite flying.
But it's interesting here now because will Ukraine luff a little bit and go closer to Thailand to see if they can steal the wind? Or will Thailand go closer to Ukraine to try to defend their position and pressure them all the way to the right side ley line? Or will they be satisfied being here? Because watching those eyes from Ukraine, that means war. I have to say that was a battle they were looking into.
Oh yeah. I think right now what they're looking for is not particularly to be able to go closer to Thailand. It's really to get into the correct angle so that they obstrue the wind getting down to Thailand, which will force Thailand luff, and they'll get closer and closer together. Now I'm sure the Ukrainian boat is right there to the right. We just can barely see them. And I'm sure Raquel is trying to run after them. It's got to be a rodeo for her right now, trying to follow these guys sailing down at 13 knots for the boats.
Yeah,
They're
but
just
Ukraine is
cruising.
faster. They're 1 notch faster than Thailand. Yet again, Ukraine is showing how to manage this.
Ukraine has been really fast all week long downwind.
See there,
There they are.
whoa! Serving after them. And you can just see how they are leaning over, trying to keep the balance and the speed.
Look at that work right there. We're seeing them really work their boat a lot more than we're seeing on the Thailand boat. Just really working hard. We're halfway down now the run. And they're definitely trying to cast a wind shadow over Thailand, see what's happening. Look at all these guys. Everybody's, pulling backwards. Look at the spray coming off of that boat, really trying to work it. Let's take a look at the helmsman right here who's, surfing down the waves. They're really trying to put some pressure onto Thailand. Looking like Thailand is staying in it, actually, for the time being.
Oh, see the spinnaker on the boat of Thailand. Sometimes it's
All right,
losing
now
a
check
little
it out.
bit
Here we
wind.
go. Here we go with the surf. They just caught a wave right there. They're bearing away. And, they're really having to work. See, now they're going back up onto a wave. They're really working the waves in order to keep that speed up. They're working the waves. They're working the mainsail. They're working their spinnaker. Look at the boys. They're all hiking right there, shoulders out, really keeping that boat flat. Yeah, a lot of work going on right there. Really great to see that teamwork. They're all huddled together in the back, like, trying to keep the bow out of the water. Beautiful.
Yeah, beautiful. And at the same time, we see Singapore took another chance going to the right-hand side of the course, driving now towards the finish line, see if they could do a starboard port side again. But they are 650 meters behind the two speeding fleets up here. Thailand 13 knots, Ukraine 13.2 knots, South Korea 11.9, Singapore 11.2. So it looks like it's the battle Thailand and Ukraine. Who will win this last race, the golden race? Who will be the overall winner of the group? South Korea, they are fighting for getting third. That's one of the best results they have in this regatta, this race, this group overall. That's the third position. They've really been trying to fight it out. Singapore, they have been doing everything they can today, taking chances, but it didn't go that way.
Yeah, too little, too late. And like you said, Thailand and Ukraine right now getting themselves qualified to get to the final series in Bahrain. And it looks like as it stands right now, Ukraine is winning the group.
Yeah, Ukraine is winning the group as it stands right now, but 23 points and Thailand 23 points. It's only because Ukraine won more races than Thailand in total. But see here, there's slightly a distance in between them now. It looks like Ukraine won't take that battle. They are sure of qualifying. Thailand is sure of qualifying. They try to get the battle in who will take the victory of this gold fleet in the upwind leg. But now,
yeah,
it looks like they're very satisfied.
Just doing such a good job. Nai right there, is managing to go lower and faster, and that is definitely a feat in and of itself, because as you go lower, generally you do not go faster. Keep in mind, she is the Opti World Champion, and when you do the World Championship in the Optimus fleet, there's a lot of boats you need to get in front of. So,
but one thing that's cool about Thailand, I've been following Thailand quite some time. I was also in Bodrum for the Optimus World Championship this year. Thailand also won that one. So they're really good in maneuvering, really good at steering. And if you see, she's not the biggest on the boat. She's actually the smallest when we're walking around the race village. So small, strong, and tactical. Yeah. Really good.
Right, the best things come in small packages, they say, right?
Yeah, it's a really great move here. Thailand going for a victory, approaching the finish line. Ukraine just behind them.
Just breathing down their neck, Ukraine. But look at this, Thailand putting in a wonderful race here on the golden day, winning themselves 8 points for this win right here on race 6, qualifying themselves to go to the finals in Bahrain.
See how happy they are. They are in
Thailand.
Bahrain. They are in the finals. Everybody in the boat is cheering. And then you can see behind Ukraine coming in with speed. Only
Here comes Ukraine crossing the line. They too can be very happy. They will be going as well to the finals in Bahrain, and they are winning their group. They'll be standing on the top step of the podium this evening and listening to their national anthem.
fantastic work by Ukraine, and you can just see they feel a little bit more relaxed and everything, not celebrating too much, but when we saw them this morning, they were all pumped, ready for today, celebrating, and they must be happy, even they're so focused of actually taking down the gear, getting ready for a shift between boats.
They need to take that spinnaker down. They're still in race mode right now. You know, adrenaline is pumping really high right there. As soon as they take that Gennaker down, then they'll calm down. They'll sort of realize what's happening. But here we go. Team number 3, which is coming in, South Korea, which has been very smooth and stable. One of the best results they've had all week right here. So doing a good job. They didn't really have any issues putting up their spinnakers or anything. And looks like they're satisfied.
They are satisfied, doing a great job, saying thank you. They also been part of history here. It's the first SSL Gold Cup, the Football World Cup, but in sailing. Ending up third place in the Golden Race. That's the best result they've been doing all week. They've actually been doing a great race. And here we have Singapore. They tried to take the battle to Thailand. They actually did a very fine start.
Yeah,
but then coming up wins, they took a chance, but the chance didn't go to their favor.
As we say, they are the first losers. It's very unfortunate for them. They had the chance in the beginning of this. There was an opportunity, even though it was a rather small opportunity for them to be able to qualify themselves for the finals. They just didn't manage to do it. They took a lot of risks. They took a lot of chances. They had to do something, and good job for them, for at least for trying. And I'm sure, we can see a little bit of disappointment, but look at that, thumbs up, thanking the race committee. It's just really nice to see that. We lost, but thank you everybody for the job well done.
And race number 6, Thailand winning with 8 points, Ukraine 6 points, South Korea 4 points, Singapore 2 points. But it's not over for Korea and Singapore, because next year the Continentals comes. This SSL Gold Cup is continuous, so every 4th year there's the World Cup, and then there's the Continentals in between where they're fighting for it. So there will be Continentals. This is just the beginning, and what a beginning, what a start, what a history these teams have been writing. And there we can see the teams coming in. This is giving the overall score. Ukraine winning group number 8 with 23 points. 3 victories in total. Thailand, 23 points. 1 victory and a lot of second positions. Singapore, 1 victory, but then some losses and some third places, getting 12 points. South Korea fighting back today, getting 11 points, ending up 4th in the group.
Yeah, so really good job right there on those teams. We definitely see that there's a big difference between the top 2 teams and the bottom 2 teams with the points difference right there. So all week long, Ukraine and Thailand have just been, duking it out.
Yes, and with all this said, let's see the race replay actually of this very exciting race. There we see the switch of the teams on the water, and now South Africa coming in. But what some races today!
How funny is this? South Africa right now is getting on the winner's boat, and South Africa also doesn't need to win, but they definitely want to win and make sure they win this qualifying session, as they have already won the test event.
Yeah, but here. Now you're saying, hey, they're going on the winner boat. But Jan, there's no difference of the boats. This is the fantastic format of the SSL Gold Cup. All boats is one design. Everything, all settings is the same.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's no change in it.
No, that's right. That's right. But maybe is there an aura? Is the boat, is the boat sort of whispering to the to the crew? I don't know. I guess you can't be superstitious, right?
Yeah, you can't get superstitious, but it looks like I'm getting told that Rachel is ready on the water with interview of the winners. So, Rachel, how's it going down there?
Yes, we're all here with the winning team of Group 8, Team Thailand. And yes, Nai is being... Nai, congratulations. I was telling you, the tiniest helm in the fleet, and you're the winner in the toughest condition. How does that feel?
So it's just a very amazing race in tough conditions, and you can do it very well as well. So before we behind you can, and then we finish after them for 4 races, but the last race was double point, so we catch up at the end, and then we are very happy to winning the freight.
Yes, so you not only just went for the qualification, you went for the whole thing, for the win. Very well done. Where do you think you won the race? You were leading since the start.
Yeah, in the start is a little bit like the same positions, and then I think we managed in the upwind bow speed very well, and then also in the downwind bow speed. So that's why we catch up at the end. Yeah.
So like Jan said, good things come in small packages, and Nai is the proof of that. And well, now it's Bahrain, you guys. You ready for that?
Yay! Bahrain! Yeah, see you in Bahrain. Congratulations to the team. Thank you, Rachel. And just see how happy Team Thailand is there. And it's 3-time gold winner and a winner of the Optimist, as you said. But I just have to say, they can actually, if they continue doing this, they can actually go all the way in Bahrain. Because when they're coming to Bahrain, other teams are coming in. But now they have some let's say it as is, they have some experience sailing this boat, where the new teams coming in, they're the first starting the practices now, and then they're getting ready to come in.
Yeah, there's there's definitely an advantage to sort of not getting qualified immediately to the eighth of the finals or the quarterfinals, because you get to sort of learn the boat, you get to warm up, you get to practice and understand how the boat works. And that we've seen that before, time and time again. The teams that are warm and are ready to go out there really often do a very good job and can actually beat some of the big name teams because they've spent more time out on the water.
They spent more time on the water. And now let's get ready for the next group. The next race is coming up. Let's see the teams, compare them in here. We have 3 teams coming in here. The 4th team, China, couldn't come because of COVID. We have India, Malaysia, South Africa. What do we know about them, Jan?
Yeah, so India, they call themselves the Indian Tigers. They're world ranked number 40, and they're weighing in at 724 kilos, so about 5.5 kilos underneath the maximum, which is a really good thing. We have Nakatar Johal right there. That's the captain of Team India. On the bottom left, we have Team Malaysia. They call themselves the Monsoons. They are world ranked at number 60 and weighing in 721 kilos, so they're about 8 or 9 kilos underneath the maximum. And team captain right there, Magat Daniel. To the right, South Africa, Team Ubuntu, and they are SSL ranked or world ranked number 43, weighing in at 715 kilos. And the captain of that team is Ian Ainsley. We see that they are 15 kilos shy of the max, so they will be the lightest team racing out here in this in this fleet.
And let's see how the overall score is before we're going into the Golden Day, because we have quite some battle coming up, because South Africa, they're ensured qualifying all the way to Bahrain. They need to win if they want to stay in first, but they're sure of getting second place overall. But India versus Malaysia, quite a battle also in the jury room and afterwards and under the battles, because yesterday India actually won over Malaysia and got 8 points, and then Malaysia 9 points, so there's only 1 point in between them. But because of an incident, there was where they hit each other, the two boats in the start, quite aggressive start for both of them. The jury decided that India was losing 1 point, Malaysia is getting 1 point after the race yesterday. That's giving 10 points to Malaysia, 7 points to India. This means India needs to win this race and Malaysia needs to lose it, then India is qualified for Bahrain. So a battle coming up. And with that said, let's have an interview with South Africa.
Well, having qualified takes quite a bit of pressure off us. However, we are quite keen to always keep consistent and build. And I don't think we need to build, but we want to still sail our best race, and we will go about it as though this is an important race. Whether we've qualified or not, we are going to give our best and go for a win. Ooh, they are up against each other only. We're not essential in their calculation other than if we get in between them points-wise. But I think this is fair sailing, and hence we need to race our race. There's no reason to support one or another team. We keep ourselves neutral, essential to do that.
South Africa need to race their own race. And here we have the team lineup of South Africa. And quite a team. They have a legend on the team.
They do have a legend on the team, and his name is Ian Ainsley. He's at the helm. He's been 3 times to the Olympics, and he was also 7th in the America's Cup, along with the tactician Sadler. He as well then was sailing with Ian and was 7th at the America's Cup. We also have the mainsail trimmer Blackenberg, who is a laser specialist, was 5th at the World Championships and 9th at the Sydney Olympic Games.
And it's quite funny talking with Ian and Mark Sandler, because I said to Mark, how is this to race with a legend that doesn't listen to you? He said, he's listening to me, it just took time. So with that said, let's go to an interview with Team Malaysia.
Today we was planning for the best the best thing we were doing, the sail fast and then go less mistake, no mistakes, and then make a nice rounding for everything, make a good start, and then we hope we will win this today. Yeah, we calculate the point, and we should be for the safe. We should be in front of the India, and then that's the good planning.
Team Malaysia looked like a demotivated team yesterday when they got a hole in their boat fighting against India. So let's see the lineup, because today they are all pumped for that battle.
Yeah, so we have at the helm Khairun Nizam. He has been 3 times to the Olympic Games. He was in London, Rio, and Tokyo. We also have somebody else right there, the only woman that's sailing on board, Nairaisha. She's the main trimmer, and she's a 470 specialist, and she was in the last Olympics and the Tokyo Olympics.
So some Olympic experience on this boat, and they're going to fight against Team India. And let's have an interview with Team India.
Actually, we are very happy with the breeze today because we have practiced enough in more breeze. Team is confident. Yesterday's decision is a little setback, but we still have a chance, and we are going to do it today. Super aggressive at the start. We're going to go for the pin. We'll hit the left, pick the first shift, roll everybody, and they will not catch us in downwind today. That's the strategy.
I love talking with Johal. He's so pumped. He's so happy to be here. But let's see how the lineup is today for Team India.
So we've got Naktar Johal. He was at the Beijing Olympics. He's the tactician right there. And then we have a brother-sister combo on this team, the Saravanan family. So we have at the top Vishnu. He went to the Tokyo Olympics in the laser class and now the Ilka 7. And his sister was racing in the Ilka 6 class. So, you know, it's quite funny to see that we actually have a sort of a family on board.
We have a family on board, and I have to say, they are also quite a young team, Jan, we are fighting with here. Team India, as Johal said, hey, I'm brought in the youth now. They need to take over the future of it. But one thing is, you're watching the SSL Gold Cup, the Football World Cup, but in sailing. And what else do you need in a World Cup than the national anthems? Please welcome Team South Africa. A team that already qualified for Bahrain, but they will fight everything to come into the finals with another victory. And now, a team that's going to fight a lot today. Please welcome Team Malaysia. And Malaysia getting ready for this fight they have today. And another team that is in the fight, and they actually can write history, they are part of history already, is Team India.
Mata ki Jai! Bharat Mata ki Jai! Bharat Mata ki Jai!
And I really love to see Team India. And walking around them, I could see they were a little bit unhappy about they were losing 1 point from yesterday because they actually did great. Malaysia came in, but Malaysia, they had water in the boat. They buckets up, two persons in the hole taking out. But why did India lose 1 point, Jan?
India lost 1 point because of what happened prior to the race. There was a collision between the Malaysian boat and Team India, and so there are a couple rules there. We don't really need to get into that, but what happened is the Malaysian boat had a hole in it, and so the boat was filling up with water, and obviously a boat filling up with water is not going to be going or sailing as well or as fast as a boat that doesn't have any water. And so therefore, instead of disqualifying the teams, they just lost 1 point. So it could have been worse. They could have lost many more points, so Team India lost a point and Team Malaysia gained a point.
And with that said, now we are on the water. Heavy sails, LA2, and we have the orange flag up, meaning the start is soon going, and there will soon be 5 minutes. But let's see the race course, because we have a lot of new viewers with us. They're going for the starting line. There's going to be a battle. They're going to zigzag upwind to the top mark, rounding an offset mark, racing downwind to the gate. In the gate, they need to choose which side they want to go to, all about the wind. Then they are zigzagging upwind again, the second upwind leg, rounding the top mark, offset mark, racing towards the finish line. And Jan, yet again, where's the battles going to be with these teams here?
Yeah, battles are going to be at the start, just before any of this really starts going here, as they're going up and down. We're showing you this, once again. And then another critical point is right here at the gate number 2, where they'll be dropping the spinnakers, making sure those things are not going into the water, and so that when they come back down for the final run, the spinnakers aren't wet and they're able to, have a clean run down. We see here we are within the 4 minutes. Yes, exactly. 3 minutes and 45 seconds left on the clock before the start. So this is really a crucial point. Where, as we saw earlier with Team Ukraine and Thailand, they both got the best starts and they both finished first and second.
Yeah, and Rachel, you are our eyes on water. How is the weather conditions now? For me, it looks like the wind is disappearing a little bit. Or are we still in strong winds?
Yes, we're still in strong winds, but it's definitely less strong than before. So we're about 14, 15 knots. So yes, compared to 18 that we had in the previous start, it looks like it might be disappearing. So we actually feel better also on the media boat. But the wind is here, it's strong, it's very steady, and I don't see particular shift at the moment. The waves are still in place because, of course, it takes longer for the water to flatten even if the wind is dropping. And what it's interesting to see from the race course is the body languages and what the teams have been doing before the orange flag came up. So Team Malaysia kept really far away from everybody else. They were not very composed on the boat. They were doing things, everybody doing their own things. Team South Africa, they were really on point, like tactician and helmsman, they were talking to each other. The other guys were already in position doing things. Of course they are now, but now we're getting into the pre-start. And Team India, Johal, the captain, is from the military, so they were very silent, very composed, and he was looking around to see what the weather was doing. So, I mean, the body language says that it's going to be a battle, and we're going to see it, I think, from the very first start, from the very first minute after the start, probably even before the start, like we've seen yesterday. And
already a battle
I mean,
here.
I hope Johal can do what he says.
Yeah, it looks like we've got a red flag.
Rachel, sorry, we have already a battle in the pre-start. Johal racing the flag against Team South Africa.
Yeah, it's a port starboard situation is what it looks like. So we should be seeing Team South Africa doing a 360 right now.
It's a clear one. It was clear. The officials calling it clear, but this just shows that Johal and Team India wants to fight. See, following Malaysia, here we're going to see some aggressive sailing. India needs to win. They need to keep South Africa behind them, and Malaysia needs to lose.
I really like how he said in the pre-race, we're going to get the pin in, we're going to go faster than everybody, roll the fleet and win. You know, get out in front, stay in front, and, win the fleet.
And see how close they are. It is almost like seeing dinghies fighting. Now we can see South Africa going away from that battle, but India side by side with Malaysia. Whoa!
India is really putting on the boxing gloves right now, and I'm not sure that's a really wise thing to do because we saw them yesterday fighting it out, but then not having enough speed to actually get across the finishing line.
No.
So right now, India and Malaysia, this is where the battle is going to be. Look at that! So
they lost
getting
momentum
rolled
there
over by Malaysia. And that's exactly what we said yesterday. So now they were saying they wanted the pin end, but they're totally not on the pin end side. So was this a little bit of a fake that he gave us on the interview?
Oh, see there, Baumann saying one boat length to the starting line. It's 13 seconds. Malaysia coming close to the committee boat. Where is India? India got caught there. They were
7
so
seconds
aggressive.
left.
They lost momentum there, but they're coming with speed. The two other boats are too fast. India with speed. This might be a good situation for them. Let's see. Clean start. India coming with speed. They are 1 knot faster than the rest of the fleet. So let's see if that's giving them anything.
Best start right there was for South Africa. We saw Malaysia really heeled over as they did not want to cross over the line, and they kept that mainsail on. It took them a little bit longer to get some speed up, and that just allowed for India to come back into the game. So even though India was a little bit out of it, because Malaysia stopped their boat on the starting line, it allows India to come back into the game. However, that whole tactic of going out to the pin, rolling over everybody, it's not exactly what we're seeing right now.
And here we see it again. Malaysia and South Africa a little bit too fast. See how they are almost pushing the boat into the water to slow down a little bit, to change the angle, but it was a clean start. India coming with speed, but somehow Malaysia managed to survive this one.
Yeah, Malaysia was bearing away but didn't release their mainsail, and so therefore they just completely put the boat sideways and stopped it. Had they, sort of eased out on the mainsail, they could have kept their speed, because they definitely had room lured of them in order to be able to accelerate. So that's sort of unfortunate. They could have gotten a little bit more out of that start. But anyhow, right now it looks like they're 30 meters in front of India, and we have right there team captain hanging out as far out as he can.
Yeah, looking at the data and looking what we're seeing here, you can almost see it here on the water. It's like South Africa is doing a bigger angle than the other boats are doing right now to the left-hand side. They are sailing a little bit faster than the two other boats, and they're also winning momentum right now, according to this. So Malaysia and India, they're fighting a little bit to find the angle to steer the boat here in the wind, like we saw in the last race, where the first upwind leg, the teams used to get used to this wind pressure.
Yeah, really funny. Look at the difference between the Malaysian boat and the Indian boat. We see the Indian boat is a lot more heeled over. They're really, look at that. They're not putting their arm out there to say, I want to turn right. It's not a turn signal. They're trying to really get the weight out as far as they can. As we saw, even the captain was hanging on to the backstay right there, and just making sure that he's putting all his weight out there. But you see the difference in terms of the heel angle. So they've got a much different setup on the two boats.
So the setup of the boats has some meanings today. While we're seeing here from Team Malaysia, you can see India is behind them there. And this gives actually room for Malaysia to be able to tack in front of India if they want to, if they need to shift side, because India is 25 meters behind them. But it looks like India is approaching them now. They are speeding up, but South Africa, they are gone. They are really good in this. They are speeding up 7.2 knots. The other teams 7 knots. So they're capturing the wind much better.
Remember, South Africa, they live in a very, very windy place down at the Cape right there. It's a place that regularly sees 20, 25 knots. We're only sailing in 18, or at least we were this morning. So that's, it's not even close to what they're used to sailing into. So really, they're not phased. This is actually not an issue at all for them. And look at that. They've got the speed and they've got the angle. They're a little bit higher than everybody. Seeing Malaysia right there fall behind South Africa, so they're going to have to tack over at some point. Here we go. That's a tack for Malaysia, and now right away for India. I doubt they'll be able to pass in front. So there we go. They're ducking behind India and just passing behind. Beautiful.
Johel is. Or Malaysia is pressing it, going very close to the Indian boat, so close that they almost touched them.
Yeah, I mean, it's these guys are professionals. Remember that, 10 centimeters within it, it's not uncommon to see. However, sometimes it gets a little too close and they do touch. But let's take a look here. It's really interesting to see. Like I was saying earlier, this boat is a lot flatter. If you look at the mainsail boom right there, it's a lot lower than it is on the Indian boat. So they're getting a little bit of a flatter boat. Well, let's see that cross. Let's look at that cross again.
Wow. Oh, yeah. It's like his boat, because of the wind, is pushing, almost was dragged into the Indian boat there.
Yeah, actually what happens is that just as you go behind a boat, you can sort of take advantage of that disturbed air and get a little bit more angle. Now, I assure you that was done on purpose. It has nothing to do with luck.
No. If we're looking into it, this is a game of chess. Malaysia taking a chance, going to the right-hand side, where India and South Africa going to the left-hand side. They will try to see if they can have rule 10 on their side, but it looks like Singapore, they are caught in lighter wind. They are losing momentum. This couldn't be better for India at the moment, but India really needs to capture those South Africans out there, because India needs to win and Malaysia needs to lose. Then they're switching position for Bahrain. So right now, India has been taking the first step into Bahrain, but they need to capture South Africa.
Yeah, exactly. They absolutely need to win. India and Malaysia needs to lose. So right now they're very close, as you said. All they have to do is get in front of South Africa, but that's going to be tough. Right now, Team Malaysia really needs to get back into this, and they need to get cruising now. I'm just sort of wondering, having that boat so flat, could they not power up just a little bit more in order to get some speed? We'll see what they're doing. Obviously,
maybe
we're not out
double
there.
tack, and we can just do the fast mathematic every time they tack. Today, because of the wind shift and the wind speed, they lose 18 meters per tack, according to the data. So they have been using 36 meters against India to do this tack, to try to come in a position. And right now, when I'm looking at it, it's not paying off. They are slowing down Malaysia. India and South Africa is speeding up. Malaysia is losing momentum. They're losing speed. So either it is the boat handling they're doing it, or else it's something else.
Yeah, and right now we see that Team Malaysia is sort of playing it safe. They are in the middle of the race course, as opposed to South Africa and India going off to the left. Here we are with South Africa, and they've just tacked over. So, like we said earlier, they're not taking as much risk as South Africa and India.
And now let's see it's paying off, because it looks like they're speeding up again. 18 meters dropped in attack by India and South Africa. Malaysia approaching them. You can almost see it's like two meteors are going to collide. But will Malaysia go in front of India and South Africa, or behind them? That is the question. Here you see it. Rachel, I need to ask you one question out there. What are you seeing that we are not seeing?
Well, I don't think you're missing anything, because we have the best technology on the water. But I am the lucky one at the moment, because I'm right here and I can feel the adrenaline. I can feel the effort India is putting into this, and Malaysia is just trying to keep calm and quiet and out of any trouble, because if South Africa wins, I mean, they're doing the job for Team Malaysia, like you said. I mean, the only chance for Team India to pass Team Malaysia into the qualifying series, into the final series, it's if they win. And at the moment, South Africa is doing the job for Malaysia, so Malaysia is staying out of the game. But, I mean, the only thing I can tell you is for the first time today, I can see Joao, the captain, a guy of about 120 kilos, hiking out on the rails. So it's the first day that he's doing that, and I think 120 kilos with 15 knots, they can make a difference in heeling the boat.
Thank you, Rachel. And it's almost like we are seeing here Malaysia losing it. They're trying to play it safe, huh, Jan? Or they're just doing some bad decisions right now.
Yeah, it's really, you know, it was all about that start. We saw them, you know, they had no speed on the start. Yes, timing was right, but when they bore away, they didn't ease off on that mainsail, and they weren't able to keep their speed. India came right back into it. Even though the timing on India was a little bit off, they crossed the line with more speed than Malaysia. And right now, that's what's happening. So Malaysia right now is a little bit on the back foot. However, they do have a different setting than all the other boats. So, you know, let's just keep in mind this is the first upwind beat. Many things can change. We still have a lot of spinnakers that need Jennakers, that need to go up and down. So, you know, it's not over yet. This is only the beginning.
It's not over yet. Malaysia is tacking upwind right now. They are put in a position where when India is tacking towards the mark or a little bit before the mark, they will come in front of them and pressure them 70 meters in between those two teams. South Africa in the lead with 109 meters, but we're seeing today and yesterday that a 200 meters lead downwind is nothing. So they really need to stay focused, South Africa. And you can just see Ian, almost there, cool guy, a legend, sitting there with his sunglasses, watching over the water, while Mark behind him is telling him what to do, and just keep it cool and sail for that victory.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about these two positions. You see the boom that's all the way down, so just, you know, in relationship to the Malaysian boat. Anyway, those two positions. So Ian right there, he's steering the boat. He's making sure the boat is going as fast as possible, and behind him is Mark. He's the tactician, so he'll be saying, all right, now we're going to attack, you know, we're going to attack in 3 boat lengths or whatever, going off to the left and to the right. He decides where the boat goes. Ian makes it go fast.
Yeah, so Ian steering and Mark is calling, and that's how it's going to be. And again, when we talked with them this morning here, Ian said, hey, Mark just needs to listen to me, and Mark said, I learned to make Ian listening to me, because those two are very routine and very high profile on that team. Here we see Johel, he's looking, hey, when to do it. We are a little bit behind South Africa. It's a very good picture here, but see, he's looking for the top mark. He's looking for South Africa, and when we're looking at the data, he's sailing a shorter distance towards the mark. They're changing their mode, going more against the mark and slowing a little bit down to approach South Africa, and that's giving Malaysia a chance to come back in this race.
It is, absolutely. Like we said, it's not over yet. And, you know, you were just talking about South Africa. You know, talking about Ian and Mark, and they've both been to the America's Cup, and they were both sailing together in the America's Cup. So, you know, a lot of they've known each other now for many years, and so they're quite used to working together. Now, that's pretty interesting, because some of the other teams that we've seen have got, you know, really a lot of hot shots, and those guys have been, you know, fighting against each other their whole entire career, and now in the SSL they're actually on the same boat together. So it's you know, this is really great. The SSL is making new things happen, along with their ranking system, and along with this whole idea of nations competing together, all on the same boat, exactly the same boat, boats being switched out as we see. This is things that are totally new to the sailing world.
It's totally new to the sailing world that the teams are coming together, and and they're really here. And right now we have a battle for the fight of who's going on the top board when we're going to the prize ceremony later, where there's going to be a party with a lot of music and a lot of noise outside. But let's see here, South Africa, they are in the lead, India in second, and then we have Malaysia coming in third, and they're just losing momentum. Malaysia dropping down. South Africa and India almost same pace, but it looks like South Africa is doing a little bit better but India is approaching them. This angle on the boat is really changing everything.
Yeah, it looks like VMG here on this velocity made good here on this South African boat is really quite good. They've got the speed, and they've got the angle to the wind. It looks like India is actually doing a pretty good job as well. Remember, they're sort of on the heavier side. They're really quite close to the maximum on Team India, as Malaysia is a little bit lower down, and so a little bit tougher for them. You see here, Malaysia is having a hard time staying on their line. They're getting closer and closer to that green line. The South African team. Here we go with attack for South Africa. They are now on the ley line, and they should be arriving first at the windward mark.
And they are arriving up there. And Rachel, what's happening out there? You can see it. You're close to that top mark.
Yes, South Africa just stacked, and I'm sure they're in ley line. I can't really tell, but I'm quite sure, Ainsley and Mark Sedler will not make a mistake on that. And now India is also tagged, so they're both ready to get into the ley line and to get into the mark rounding. Malaysia is approaching India. They're not that far away, but they're certainly behind. So the wind, like you were saying, is not as strong as it was before, and we're not in the condition where top mark is windier than the gate. It's pretty much even all over the course. And I can see now South Africa is doing the offset leg. They look confident. They look very well ready, set up. And if the things go like this, there's a big margin, guys, between South Africa and India, honestly. And India is hiking like crazy also in this offset leg. So they're trying their best. But I don't know if it will be enough against South African precision and real big talent.
Thank you, Rachel, for those observations. South Africa is launching the Gennaker, going downwind. India hiking, trying to speed up. Only 31 seconds behind. There they go. And now they need to launch that Gennaker because, hey, they've been having some issues with the Gennaker launches earlier.
Yeah, we've seen them sort of struggle with, the Spinnaker, the Gennaker launches and takedowns and stuff. They've gotten definitely much better. We saw yesterday near flawless work on Team India. So, practice makes perfect. Here we go. They're putting up their Gennaker. We've seen Malaysia. Now Malaysia really needs to put the pressure on and catch up to Team India.
Yeah, they are putting the pressure on. They're back in this race.
It looks like there is no bowsprit that came out, and looks like there's an issue right there with the Spinnaker tack. Okay, there we go. Now that's, come on. There's got to be a little bit of concentration. Remember, Raquel was telling us in the beginning, it looked like everybody was sort of working on their own. No real teamwork. It looks like right now, unfortunately, it doesn't look like there's much communication right there. That's unfortunate. They just lost probably a good 50-60 meters just on that small little mistakes. This is the finals. This is the golden day. Everything counts double. Today is not the day to be making those silly mistakes.
But it is the day where India needs to fight against South Africa. They need to take that victory, but it looks like Ian Astley is putting South Africa way in the lead. 360 meters. India needs to fight for it. They need to do something. As we see the score right now, South Africa 19 points, Malaysia 12 points, India 11 points. So India, they just need to capture South Africa to win it, but you can see the drone is trying to capture South Africa right now, and they are way in front of it. So what would Johal and the team do now?
Yeah, well, remember, on all these teams, we have people that have gone to the Olympics. So there's definitely, some seriously good good sailors on there. I think maybe if we were to talk about Team South Africa, they've been to the America's Cup. So, even more.
And we just have a new speed record of the day. South Africa, 15.2 knots downwind. So they are beating the speed record today.
Look, they're going as fast as the motorboat right next to them.
Amazing sailing by South Africa. And now I understand why India and Malaysia cannot catch them. See how they're just speeding away from the two other boats. They're really nailing it. But we can also see they're choosing a little bit bigger angle towards the wind, sailing away from the mark.
Really, everybody's working on that boat right there. I mean, it's great to see everyone's got their exactly, they're working, they planned their work, and they're working their plan right now. Look, everybody's doing what they're supposed to be. They're all working together. Good communication skills between the front and the back, and sometimes that can be really hard in this amount of wind because you've got the noise level on these boats right now are quite high with all that water going through. And remember, a carbon boat is a rather loud boat.
Yeah, and here we just saw the bow running from behind, almost sitting at the tactician place, running to the front because now they're doing a jibe. So he has a very important role up there.
Really to see, funny to see that we have still all three sails that are up on this boat. And so they're also, you see, they're using the jib in order to be able to speed up that air going behind the mainsail, really using absolutely everything they have right there to make that boat go as fast as possible. And yeah, today's speed record, 15 knots. That's impressive.
We have to put a 0.2 on it, so 50.2. Amazing racing by South Africa. And also see from the top mark and downwind, winning 200 meters. 200 meters already in that downwind leg, and they're only halfway towards the downwind leg.
Yeah, I'm telling you, Thomas, these guys, they're used to sailing in 25 knots. They, were 10 knots under what they have generally back home. So it's easy sailing for these guys, and they're actually, pulling every little strand, every little bit of juice that boat's got, and they're, wow. Really, really great to be able to see these guys work that boat like that.
And interesting to see the battle between India and Malaysia here. Malaysia is approaching India now. And when we're looking at the stats, Malaysia is sailing almost 1 knot faster than India at the moment. So something is happening on those boats. We will get it later on. But here we can see Malaysia is fighting. They're doing a jibe right now. India is also jibing. So they're jibing on top of India. They're trying to take that wind pressure away from them. They're trying to throw dirty air on Team India. But are they too far away? That's the question here we have. But right now, Malaysia doing everything they can to come back in this. But they are quite comfortable because South Africa are in the lead, so they are qualified for Bahrain. But I know these sailors, they want to show they're the best. So India want to win over them.
Yeah, it's really interesting to look at, before it looks like a lot of things were going on that Malaysian boat, and it looks very different to what's going on right here on the South African boat. Not a lot of movement. Everybody really concentrated on what they're doing, and we saw them a little bit more running around on the Malaysian boat. So different attitudes, different ways of doing things. They look very composed. Look at that. That is beautiful. Having all three of those sails right there just set. Everything is pulling power to the maximum. Look at that boat. It's just cruising. What a great shot that is. Beautiful. Can't believe this is lake sailing. Look at that. The weight is in the back. The bow is out. They are surfing down the waves. Wow, these boats just look so good just cruising down those waves.
So when we're looking into the performance of South Africa, yesterday, okay performance, but today, where there's nothing on stake, they're really nailing it. They really have this boat in their hand.
Man, I'm telling you what, Thomas, these guys, they're not number one for nothing, and it's not, it's not like, oh yeah, I'm just, now we're going to be, hanging out, yeah, it's okay, we won. No, these guys are gonna do everything they can to stay out in front. This is you don't become number one by staying in second place.
No, but it's also quite amazing because imagine going into a race like this. You are already qualified. And here, one thing I really love what Team South Africa said. It's a little bit like Paul Elvström was saying. You have not won the race before you've won your respect of your opponents. And here, they're really winning the respect. Because literally, they could just relax.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But here, they're
and you know,
beating up the opponents.
That's probably also another thing, is they are more relaxed. So, you know, when you're not that tense, you'll do better moves. You won't be under as much stress. And we've seen a lot of these teams that were not so stressed and don't have so much pressure on them actually do their best sailing.
Yeah. And now the mark rounding coming in, the gate mark coming in, Spinnaker going down, South Africa at the gate, second leg. Oh,
look at that! It barely touched the water. Beautiful mark rounding. Now look. See, Ian's got his eyes out. He's already going around there. Everybody knows what they got to do. All right, they're still putting in that spinnaker, but you know, that mainsail and that jib is coming in. So really good work keeping their eyes outside of the boat. A little bit different than what we were seeing earlier.
And now we are going to see India and Malaysia rounding that gate mark, because that's going to be very interesting. India is coming first. Will they follow South Africa? They can do that with speed, or will they split away and going opposite? I'm pretty sure Malaysia will follow South Africa, because South Africa have been finding the best wind every day, but it looks like India is going close to the opposite gate. They are going to do a split, or what? Yes, they are going to split. Interesting call. No, Spinnaker issues.
This is going to be a tough one. And they're going way below the mark. Spinnaker is in the water. Now, as long as they don't fill it up with water, that spinnaker, they should be okay. But
they're losing all speed. Can you see it? You can almost feel it. The boat stops at the mark. Now they need to powering it up
again.
again.
The spinnaker in the water. Now you see they really need to be able to plan this way far ahead. When you know you're going to be coming in like this, you know, look, Malaysia, they've been planning well ahead of time onto where they're going. Now, yes, they are going a little bit further away, but that's one less maneuver. It's really hard to be able, in this much wind, to be able to drop the kite windward, jibe, and then get going again. So they chose sort of the longer route here on Malaysia, but it's an easier route. India complicated themselves, but it looks like it's a little bit of a cluster on that boat right now, and looks like we've got lines sort of everywhere. So they chose the easier option, but they're not making it easy on themselves right now.
I'm just sitting here all quiet, counting how costly this spinnaker in the water for India was. Not distance-wise, yeah, they're still 170 meters in front of Malaysia, but I'm just taking the time.
We see the Malaysian boat right there. You can see they're cleaning up what's going on inside their boat. They really need to get that boat clean in order for the next moves to make. When they come down there after a spinnaker drop, look at all those lines that are down there. Exactly. See how he's sort of stepping on the lines and rolling, and you can not only get yourself hurt, but on top of it, it's not really effective.
No, it's not really effective. But India, they lost the momentum, dropping the spinnaker in the water. It's only sailing 2.8 knots, and I've been counting. They are first hitting maximum speed after 32 seconds going upwind. So a slowdown for 32 seconds, costing them
enormous.
Almost 100 meters. That's how costly it is to do this wrong.
It is. It really is. You know, when you're sailboat racing, halfway up the windward beat, you already have to have a tactic for your downwind run. And when you're at the beginning of your downwind run, you sort of already have to have a tactics to how are you going to get down at the gate. You've got to be one step ahead of your game. And right there, we saw India. They weren't one step ahead of the game. And, unfortunately for them, they had all sorts of problems. It wasn't just dropping the kite.
And now back to the game of chess. Malaysia going to the right, India going to the left, South Africa in the middle. Quite interesting. Now Malaysia is also going in towards the middle, doing attack. But that's quite interesting because Malaysia, they was winning momentum at the gate mark, and now they're losing momentum again, taking the wrong decision. It's all about where the wind pressure is. Once again, we saw Singapore going to the right-hand side in the last race, and that was so costly for them.
Yeah, it's all about going to where the pressure is, you know. But on these days, like when we've got the wind coming out of the north right now, you know, the pressure is pretty well established. It's really a question of, you know, working the puffs and the wind changes and stuff like that. But we look at South Africa right here. They're in the middle of the, you know, of the racing area, and so they're not taking any chances. They're sort of limiting. You know, they're not going to an extreme left or to an extreme right. They're trying to stay between their opponent and the windward mark, and you know, they're sailing smart right now, and that's all they need to do. They just need to sail smart. They don't need to do anything outrageous, and you know, they've got the speed. We know they've got the speed on the downwind. This is the last beat, and then it goes to a downwind.
And now we are seeing the battle coming in. It's the last upwind leg, the 3 of the 4 legs. 2,500 meters left, 2.5 kilometers up to the top mark. India is winning momentum on South Africa once again. They're also sailing 8.4 knots upwind, where South Africa is only sailing 7.2. Malaysia is dropping down for India. They lost their momentum. They literally lost 25 meters going to the right-hand side. So right now, it looks like India is trying to do the comeback. This is the last attack. But South Africa, they have been so, how can I say, consistent.
They have been all week long, and you know, today as well. They have made absolutely no mistakes. They had a very good start, and the whole beat, you know, they went off to the correct side, which was the left-hand side, and right now they're 288 meters ahead of their opponent. Really, I don't see anything right now that will stop South Africa from winning, you know, unless they have some sort of catastrophic failure with their Gennaker. Who knows?
Everything can happen.
It could
Everything
happen.
can happen. It's not over yet.
It's definitely not over yet, but India, for them right now, if South Africa keeps on sailing like this, India's really going to have a hard time getting out in front. Here we go with the projected results on your top left-hand screen. Top left-hand of your screen, we have the Republic of South Africa has 19 points, and then we have the next team, Malaysia, with 12 points. And India just 1 point behind, so pretty close between these two teams right here. Looks like South Africa and Malaysia right now are qualified for the finals.
They are qualified for the finals as of right now, but India, they are putting the pressure on. They're winning still, just won 10 meters on South Africa, so they can still do it. And I also have to say, if South Africa somehow should do a mistake at the top mark, getting a penalty, we can see one penalty coming out. If they're launching, the bow split too early, then they can get a penalty where they need to do a 360. We've seen that before in some of the other races. So there can still happen things, but they look comfortable. They look like they know what they're doing. They have everything in control. But India, they're really fighting for it. They're really doing everything. Malaysia, it's a little bit like, hey, we lost this race, but we qualified, as it looks like now.
It's true, and you know, if that is what they are saying, then we should see them be a little bit, you know, less stressed, you know, and they would see them come back. It looks like, I have the feeling that they're putting a lot of pressure on their shoulders right now, and they really don't need to. They need to sail smart and to sail fast. You know, it's so easy for us to criticize what's going on out there, and that's really not what we're trying to do. We're really trying to put these teams into the light, and it's always a little bit you know, frustrating for us to see them struggle. You know, we really would like for them to be able to be battling it out with India, you know.
Yeah. And right now we see both India and South Africa tacking up towards the top mark. And it looks like they will keep that route all the way up to the top mark. And Malaysia approaching India. And it looks like Malaysia is approaching with speed. They are now the fastest boat on the water. And no, then they decided also to tack. So that's giving all of them going to the right-hand side right now while we are watching South Africa coming in here. And Rachel, on the water, is there a wind shift or something since Malaysia is keeping themselves in the middle?
No, I don't think there is any particular wind shift. I think it's quite even all over the race course, and it's picking up a little bit. I would say we're back to 13, 14 knots, and the waves are strong. And I mean, for us on a powerboat, it's hard to keep up with a sailing boat. Of course, downwind especially, but even upwind. I mean, they have a much smoother upwind, and I mean, they cut into the waves where we are actually trying to go over them. So it's much better to see them calm on their racing boat, on their sailing boat, than us on a power boat. And well, what you all said is just correct. I mean, down at the gate there was a big mess for Team India. I actually saw the kite going partially under the boat, which is the worst because it's like having a parachute in the water. So that is where it actually stopped the boat. But then, like you said, Malaysia also didn't do a perfect job, and they went for the longer ride. Don't know what they saw on the right, because they absolutely chose to go that way. It was not the easiest one to reach. And well, up here there are boats on the race course, like boats that are not racing in the SSL Gold Cup, like Sunday sailors. And they're speeding down. This can create troubles for the racing boats because they're not as professional as our guys, I don't think. But they're having a lot of fun here, just like we are.
Yeah. But thank you, Rachel, for those observations out there. And while we're seeing that, we're seeing India really putting a fight back in it. They're winning momentum yet again.
Yeah, they're winning momentum. I just want to bounce back on what Raquel was just saying there. I believe that what they really wanted to do, Malaysia, was to avoid getting at the same buoy where India was stuck. We saw that yesterday, and they were really close, and they actually didn't manage to go around the buoy the way they wanted. They had a boat in front of them. I think they wanted to sort of sail their own line, even if it means going the longer route. It would make it sort of easier, and unfortunately, there was a little bit of a cluster in that boat, and they didn't quite get to do what they wanted.
No, and talking about lines, when we are watching our data here, India and South Africa is sailing a more straight line towards the top mark. These boats are quite fantastic. It's the SSL 47. When lighter wind, you need to have an angle of 45 degrees to 43 degrees to go upwind in a perfect VMG. And if it's breezy like it is right now, 35 degrees to 37 degrees is a very good angle to have the best VMG up there. South Africa, India is doing the 35 degrees right now, Malaysia 45 degrees. This is why Malaysia is losing big time, sailing a much longer distance, not capturing the wind speed either also. So they're already 200 meters behind again.
Yeah, it looks like right now we're looking again at a left-hand shift, and pretty much the reason why Malaysia had to tack was because if they were going forward a little bit earlier, they would have just been in the wind shadow of South Africa and of India. So they really had no choice, which meant to tack. They had to stay and have some clean wind. Now the problem is they're having clean wind, they're a little bit further out on the right, and the wind is shifting left. And it's sort of the same scenario that we saw on the last race with boats taking chances by going off to the right and rolling the dice, and it didn't work. Here, they weren't rolling the dice, but tactically speaking, they were forced to go to the right.
Yeah, but still, when we are looking the angles, Malaysia is sailing faster than the two other boats, but they're sailing a much longer distance towards the top mark. They are far, far behind, and now we see South Africa here. Beautiful pictures where the water is going over the camera boat also. They really need to follow that boat. Then you can see India there behind. Yeah, they are almost 300 meters behind, coming in the same angle as South Africa. So South Africa way in the lead, and on the opposite side now they're tacking towards the mark. Yeah, there we see Malaysia not even tacking towards the mark yet.
No, and when you're so far down on the ley line, you need to go a little slightly over ley line, because the slightest shift from that far away will make you have to do a double tack, and you'll lose even more. We're seeing them right there in the background on a port tack, not the ones at the buoy, the ones on the top left. right there. That's Malaysia. You see, they're going to have to go further than the ley line. So here we go. South Africa now extending their lead out at the weather mark.
Yeah, and now when they're going to launch the Jenniger, they will speed even more up and winning even more momentum. So India needs, I had to say this way, cross their fingers that South Africa, for the first time in this event, is not doing a good launch of that Jenniger.
Yeah, so now let's check out the launch of this Jenniger. Right now we see that they're pulling out their spinnaker. They keep working on making sure that the tack of the spinnaker gets out to the bowsprit. And here we go. They're just taking their time, doing a good job. There we go. The tack is out the bowsprit. You know, just easing their spinnaker up there, making sure there are no issues.
There's an issue.
They're taking time. They're taking their time. They're just making sure they want it to, you know, there's no rush right now. Looks like we have a little bit of a knot, but it's coming undone. So there we go. So a little bit slower. You know, they don't really need to rush. The worst thing that could have happened would have been to put it in the water or have some sort of issue. India is only now getting to the windward mark. So you see the lead that South Africa has on their opponents.
Yeah, that's quite amazing lead, but India is getting ready to race downwind, see if they can capture them. One thing I just saw in South Africa, they both have the jib and the spinnaker launched still. Or the Jenniger, so they have both jib and Jenniger up now.
Yeah, just like the last downwind, they also had that combo up. Yep.
Yeah, so interesting. Normally we see the teams taking down the jib.
That's right.
So what is the difference? Because the jib will take the wind from the Jenniger, or will it support the Jenniger?
It's really a question of apparent wind, and so what they're trying to do is, now I'm not quite sure if it is faster or not to have the sail up there, but you know, by having, basically what you're doing is you're trying to accelerate the air that is going behind the mainsail. So that's really what those sails are there for. By having two sails, you can actually have a little bit more power. And now, however, if you don't set your jib correctly, then you're going to be losing power. So the question is, yeah, okay, we'll keep it up, but you got to set them up properly. Look, South Africa has been doing everything correctly. So they have all their sails up, and they're setting it correctly. And just like you said, 15.2 knots on the last downwind run. So, you know, it's working.
Yeah, it's working, and now we are seeing Malaysia rounding the offset mark for the last time in this qualifying series. It's the last offset mark rounding. Malaysia is going to launch the Jenniger.
You know, look here, you know, that we were talking about house cleaning just a little bit before. It doesn't look like it's so clean right now. So let's, there's a big chance that we would get a knot somewhere. Let's take a look here. Let's keep this onboard camera image. We'll really get to see what's going on. Let's go now. They're trying to hoist. Look at that. We have an issue right there with the with the spinnaker sheet. Looks like we're having also an issue with the spinnaker going up. I believe that they are in the wrong speed. Looks like they are in speed number 2 for that Jenniger hoist. It's really not going up so easily. They have all sorts of issues. Now this is really not getting any better as the day is going on.
This has not been the day of Malaysia. Luckily for them, it's been the day of South Africa. So South Africa is winning this one, as it looks like there. It's up, but it's still bluffing.
It's still flapping, yeah.
Oish, what's happening in there?
Boys.
They're really battling for it.
Yeah, they're having issues now. It's obviously it's really difficult. You know, if you have to know one thing about with those coffee grinders that we're looking at, they actually have 3 different speeds on those coffee grinders, and it looks like they didn't put the fastest speed up there. And so once that happens, either you're going to have to stop hoisting, put the fastest speed in there, and then start again. And that could potentially create all sorts of problems. So,
and here we see South Africa almost going all the way to the shore. They're going all the way to the right-hand side.
Yeah, they need to be careful.
But
there's not much water over there on the right-hand side.
Half kilometer, 640 meters to India, 1.5 kilometers to Malaysia.
Yeah, you see the difference in watercolor right there. If they go too far to the shore, I mean, they can if they want to. They're getting into some really shallow water over there. And you have to know one thing about the lake here is that we have sandbanks that go out quite far. And so really, you know, they really don't need to put that boat on the sandbank.
The only thing that could save India here was the sandbanks of Lake Neuchâtel. Here we are seeing South Africa sailing downwind. The kite surfers are trying to overtake them, but they are losing. That's just showing how fast they're sailing. 13 knots.
Now there are some rules on this lake, and you must know that a sailboat has the right of way over a kite surfer.
And it's not giving points to tackle a kite surfer here. You can also see
unless they catch the kite surfer in the mast, this would be
it's been there. But here we're seeing yet again South Africa. They both have the jib and the Jinnagar up. They really know how to power up these boats. 12.4 knots, India 11.3, Malaysia 10.9. So here is the difference between these three great nations. South Africa know how to race downwind.
Yeah, look at them, just smooth, collective, you know, just great to be watching them right there. They haven't messed anything up. Every single one of their maneuvers has been on the point. They've been going to the correct side. They've been, you know, doing the least amount of tacks, least amount of jobs, and every time they do something, it's clean. You know, like I said, they've won the test events here last year, and right now they're about to win for the second time here and qualify themselves for the finals. So, you know, look out in Bahrain because South Africa is in for business.
We know they were not seated that high here in this group. They're actually seated in the second position if we see the team comparison.
Look at how clean that boat is. You see that?
Yeah, yeah.
Clean boat. There's nothing lying down on the floor.
There.
There's no knots anywhere. There you go. You know, it's another proof of
another
these guys.
proof of what they're doing. But one thing is for sure, when they're coming to Bahrain, the pre-qualified teams has to look out because here is coming a team that know how to handle this SSL 47, and yet again, it's quite routine team and they know how to sail fast.
They know how to sail fast. They've got a clean boat. They've got clean maneuvers. They tactically are very good. They've been getting excellent starts. I mean, really, this is how you're supposed to race. I think there's a lot of things that a lot of you viewers out there that are watching this, you know, you can go back and you can watch this again and check out what they're doing, because, you know, if you can sail like this or even half as good as what they're doing right now, you'll definitely have some really good race results.
Good race results. South Africa cruising towards that finish line. 725 meters left. Speeding up with the speed of 12.4 knots. India trying to catch them, but are 600 meters behind with 13.7 knots right now. They are speeding up. And then Malaysia cannot capture the wind. 12.4 knots, dropping more and more down. 1.3 kilometers behind. But this doesn't tell the whole story. This just shows that South Africa is maybe the best performing team in racing the SSL 47 in all the groups in the qualifying series we've been seeing. Because what India is doing here is also a quite big performance today.
Yeah, India really have stepped up the performance. They've done really quite well, other than that one Jenniker drop that sort of ended up in the water. But look, they've been sailing quite well. They still need a little bit more practice in terms of, you know, getting used to that Jenniker and things like that. But from, you know, the difference that we've seen in that team from the very first day of racing, which was on Thursday, 4 days ago. I mean, here we go. Oh, and South Africa now coming to cross the finish line in first place and winning their spot for the finals in Bahrain. Here we go, winning. There we go. Congratulations, guys! What a race they did.
They qualified even before today's golden race, but they also said we are going to win the next race. And today they really showed great performance. A team you need to watch out when we're going to Bahrain, because what Ian Astley has been doing together with his team of South Africa is showing us how to race the SSL 47 in the SSL Gold Cup.
Yeah, beautiful racing. I mean, everything they've done today has just been picture perfect. And look at that, 600 meters in front of the second place boat. You know, no issues right here. These guys have just been doing a great job, and now they're heading back over here. Heading
and
back
now
home.
we see Team India approaching the finish line. Johel is really proud of the team. I had a talk with him this morning. He said, even if we are not qualifying to Bahrain, we are having one seat put into the ground. The flower is booming. We are doing a great performance. It's a young team. This is the future coming in. So very great job by him. And as he said, we are part of history. It's only the beginning. Next year is the Continentals in the SSL Gold Cup. So here,
Very
ending
nice,
second place.
Nice little surf as they cross the line right there. Just looking good right there, Team India.
And there we go. Very great by Team India. And see, he's very happy, cheering with the team. They're getting second. Also saying hello to the jurors out there. Great performance by Team India. They must be very proud of this one. Also showing Malaysia, hey, Malaysia, you qualified, but we want the respect. We want this battle. You qualified because of the rules yesterday and not because of the racing.
Yeah, they qualify. You know,
rules are rules.
Rules are rules. What's done is done, and you know there was some mistakes being done yesterday, and then the result was losing points, and that's that. But that's racing, right? I mean, if you're not pushing it, then there's no point really. Malaysia has been sailing better actually in the beginning part of this week than
with
they have.
Wind.
With a little bit less wind. It looks like they were sort of struggling today in a little bit of the maneuvers, but you know, here they come, cruising across the finishing line. You know, maybe they finished last today, but they are qualified for the final series in Bahrain. So here you go. This is the second team right now that will go off to the final, so they have something to be very happy about right now.
Yeah, and saying thank you to the jury boat, thank you for everything, to the race officials. We are getting ready for the finals in Bahrain. And let's see the score of this race, because it's Golden Day, double score coming in. Victory to South Africa. They are getting 6 points in this group. India getting 4 points. And then Malaysia getting 2 points. Almost finishing 2 minutes and 39 seconds behind. And as said before, South Africa, wow. It's not because India was bad. South Africa just showed us that they might be the most dangerous team at the SSL Gold Cup. If this was a football match, this was where Messi and Neymar was shitting their pants, because what they showed there as a team was so good. Ending up with 19 points, winning almost all races except race number 2 where they lost.
Yeah, just unbelievable. look at that score, just unbelievable. You know, win in race 1, win in race 3, win in race 4, win in race 5, and a win in race 6. So I mean, it doesn't get. I could get. I guess they could have won race 2, huh? Right?
They could have won race 2.
But no, it's just unbelievable. Really, really good job by South Africa right there.
Yeah. And with that said, let's see the replay of this race.
Never beat, I've been down and I reappear. You got some money on the line, you better put it here. Rolling in and doing that work. Check priorities, I'm doing that first. Check's big and I'm sure that hurts, but it's checkmate, we ain't selling short, know the work. Ain't nowhere to hide. You ain't gotta see me come and keep me on your mind, cause I be on the work. You know I be on the work. I couldn't have, get the team. I got a vision for the things you ain't believe. And here's the motto, hard work, this over everything. that. Ain't nowhere to hide. You ain't gotta see me come and keep me on your mind. 'Cause I'll be on the way.
Wow, and there we go. Team Malaysia is getting caught by our on-water reporter, and it's quite interesting to hear Malaysia how it feels for them to let's say it as it is, qualify for Bahrain, but having two terrible races today and yesterday. So, Rachel, can you hear us out there?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear. I'm with the helmsman of Team Malaysia. The boat is still going under no, not anymore, but it's going so fast still. So, congratulations, you're going to Bahrain. Not the best performance for you guys, but still.
Yeah, I would like to thanks to my all crew. They did very hard work this week. We know we are a bit struggle at the end these 2 days, yesterday and today. But the point that we have a gap yesterday, 3 points, I think we use it well to keep India behind and let the South Africa first. So yeah, I'm pretty happy and we'll come back stronger for Bahrain.
So what happened today? Why were you not at your best?
We struggle a bit with the strong breeze. We are used to be good in this, but just maybe not our day. We will try to improve for Bahrain and let's celebrate that we go to Bahrain.
Okay, so they're celebrating even though they know they did not have their best day, but of course, mission accomplished. Bahrain is waiting for you, and then you play everything from scratch there.
I would like to thanks to our His Royal Highness Raja Muda Selangor. He was here on water watching us all day, every day. So, and to our family and our supporter, thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much for supporting us, and we will do the best for you guys. Thank you.
Okay, back to you guys.
Thank you, Rachel. They will do the best they can do coming to Bahrain. This is the SSL Gold Cup. It's the Football World Cup, but just in sailing. And they qualified to the finals rounds where the knockout stages starts. And that is in Bahrain. And with that said, let's see a teaser for what's coming up for them.
Minus 10, 9, 8. We have a go for main engine start. We have main engine start. 4, 3, 2, 1.
And with those beautiful pictures, Jan, just seeing it sailing inside a football stadium. Imagine if we can do that. And especially seeing a team like South Africa doing here. That was magic what they performed in this last race.
You know, I'll tell you what, with everything, all the technology that we have right now, you know, those drone shots and those camera shots from stabilized camera from the motorboat and everything, I think we're seeing it even better than if we were in the stadium.
And with that said, this was the last race of the SSL Gold Cup qualifying series. But let's see who qualified for Bahrain. Because here into the next rounds, the 132 finals, we have from Group 1 quite an adventure. Antigua
Barbuda.
Tahiti qualified there from Group 1. Then in the European group, Estonia and Ireland. They came in there, and it was a little bit luck of the Irish in that battle against Serbia there. Then Group 3, Slovenia and Lithuania qualified. And so Group 4, Portugal, Czechia.
And Czech Republic.
Yeah, Czech Republic. I have to say, one thing that was really, really amazing there. Remember Bulgaria? They really put that fight into it, and they almost overtook.
That was, I think, one of the most high-strung tension races that we had seen. Bulgaria I think it was maybe right on the line, 20 meters before the line, just not being able to cut it and getting themselves taken out. It was That was some dramatic sailing in that Group 4.
And then we have Group 5 and 6. The two, I have to say, most exciting groups with most action. Peru, wow, they won it. They were so happy. But Chile versus Uruguay? Remember those battles?
Absolutely unbelievable battles. Again, just before the starting line, having Spinnaker issues, getting pushed off, and just that was really, really intense, beautiful battles. Go check those out because those are on video on YouTube. You can see them. Those were unbelievable.
And Group 6, Oman and Cuba qualifying. Cuba, the fairy tale of the underdogs coming all the way to the finals, and Oman, that was the race of the Phoenix. I have to say that bird was dead before Golden Day.
That was unbelievable. They raced
Guatemala
2 races,
winning the 2 first days.
Yeah.
Mexico
winning the last
day,
2 races on Golden Day, managing to get themselves actually qualified. They were completely out of it before the first day. And then in Cuba, first time ever sailing on a boat made out of carbon, obviously. They've been here. They were here for a couple weeks before that, practicing, getting some really good information from all the teams. It was just a really humbling experience to see Cuba make it through.
And then today, Group 7 and 8, South America, Malaysia, Ukraine and Thailand. Also quite some fairy tales there. South Africa, watch out. That's the Messi of sailing right now. Whoa, what a performance they have. And then Team Ukraine, not practicing that much, just managed to get a team together.
At the last moment, managing to get that team together and winning it. Young guys on that team, really motivated to stay out in front. We saw some great sailing, Ukraine, Thailand, all week long, but really, really strong. It's going to be really exciting. I'm really can't wait for the finals.
So the match board for the finals is we're going into 132 finals, and there will be a draw for seeing how the groups will be in between all these.
Yeah, exactly. So right now we don't really know who's going to be racing against one another. That's why we don't have anybody. That's even though now we know all of the teams that are qualified for the 32nd of finals, we will have a draw coming up in August. And you guys can check that out. Make sure you go on our social media pages. We have all that information, as well as some unbelievable pictures of what's been happening today. Probably some of the best pictures we've had all week. Here we go. The Bahrain series. These are the dates. From October to November. So starting on the 29th of October, we're going to have, and we're going to be finishing on the 20th of November. That's a lot of racing, a lot of teams that will be, really duking it out.
Yeah, and duking it out, let's say, that's how it's going to be. And if you want to see more, there will be a small break here in between the live races because some of the teams are coming to practice here. But when we are coming back to the Bahrain, to the finals, to the SSL Gold Cup finals, there'll be a lot of live shows, a lot of battles coming in there. And you can see the schedule and everything on the social medias. And with all that said, Jan, this was Thomas Bjørnelykke together with Jan Dorset doing the SSL qualifying series, and what a pleasure to have all of you here in studio. And Jan, pleasure to have you here as our commentator.
Thank you very much, Thomas. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure to be here. I will be over in Bahrain, and we expect to see you over there starting from the 29th of October. So wherever you are in the world, thank you for having joined us, and we can't wait for the final series to begin.
And let's end with the pictures of today.
go for main engine start. We have main